weather-related deaths in the state of Tennessee were announced earlier today. So those storms that rolled through last night, they were legit. They were big time, and they did a whole lot of damage. So definitely hope everybody is safe out there. Still got some storms rolling through this afternoon, so make sure you're staying safe out there today. But we've got a lot to get into this afternoon. A lot of NBA, college basketball talk, but even NFL draft talk, baseball, plenty to get to over these next 2.5 hours. It could change. We're supposed to have Ole Miss baseball this evening against Kentucky up in Lexington. It looks like, you look at the radars, it looks like they're getting a whole lot of rain as well up in Lexington. So we'll keep you updated if you're an Ole Miss fan, hoping to hear the baseball team in action tonight. We will try to keep you updated on that game. And actually, as I say that, right now, just coming out, Kentucky baseball just announced that the game tonight versus Ole Miss has been postponed due to heavy rain and potential severe weather in the Lexington area. The teams are now scheduled to play a doubleheader on Friday beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern, so 2 o'clock Central. Both games will be 9 innings. So if you were hoping to hear Ole Miss baseball later tonight, we will not have that because that game has been postponed. So we'll be with you for the next 3 hours. Plenty to get to. But Landon, how are you this afternoon? Everything good last night and into today with all these storms?
Oh, yeah. The only issue that I have with storms is I have a German Shepherd Husky who hates the thunder.
Ah, yes.
Sound of thunder, she sees lightning, she's barking like crazy. So it's not until I get her up in the bed, start snuggling, everything's calm and cool, collected. That's when, she calms down. But, I guess that's just the protective side in her that's like, well, thunder's about to attack my people, so I got to be at the ready. But other than that, I'm doing good. My Mets picked up a huge win yesterday. I mean, Pete Alonso was kind of not doing great the first couple of games against the Marlins, but, man, he hit that homer, sending 3 people home to tie it up, going into extra innings. Dude, I think we had the game of the century already.
This is one thing I love about you and your new love of the New York Mets. And I have so many friends that I try to get into Major League Baseball, and for whatever reason, they just can't stick. But if you were to take a look back in the past 3 weeks ago, before you claimed the New York Mets, what would you call yourself in terms of just a baseball fan?
Well, I wouldn't.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know, because that's what I would have figured, but I didn't want to put any labels on you. I always watch baseball. I just didn't have a team.
It's always been there,
Sure.
But it's never been something that I'm just like, oh man, like I'm looking forward to this baseball season.
Well, my point is, and it's what I love about fandom, and it happens to me, it happens to everybody, but it's even better with people that aren't really into a sport but then get into it.
Oh yeah.
Is I walked in yesterday, the day before, and I'm like, "What's up, Landon? How's it going?" And the first thing you say to me is, "Man, Francisco Lindor, he's terrible."
I mean, well, he's figuring it out now, but yeah.
I love it. I mean, that is fandom right there. And so, yeah, there were a couple of really interesting baseball games last night that we'll have to get to at some point. Shohei Ohtani, just his greatness continues to amaze. Last night, walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. We'll get to some baseball later. I do want to talk Grizzlies, because yesterday, obviously, we came in, talked a lot of Grizzlies following that loss to the Golden State Warriors. They're back in action tonight. We'll talk more about tonight's matchup in particular a little bit later in the show. But last night, they went to bed, and they were the 6th seed. This morning, wake up, and they are now the 8th seed, dropping it down 2 spots without playing a game. And you're still, I guess the good news, bad news is you're the 8th seed right now, which means you'd be in the play-in. And if you stay the 8, if you won the play-in, you would be the 7th seed and playing the Houston Rockets if everything was set today and we were playing the playoffs today. Good news, though, is that you are in a 3-way tie with the 2 teams that are in front of you, the Los Angeles Clippers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yesterday, it was a 2-way tie between the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies, and because it was only a 2-way tie, the Grizzlies had the tiebreaker, which gave them the 6th seed because they have they're 2-0 in the series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. But because now now it is a three-way tie with the Clippers getting a win last night over New Orleans. The way the three-way ties goes into it, the Grizzlies now at the bottom of that tiebreaker in 8. So you have Minnesota at 6, Clippers at 7, and then the Grizzlies at 8. So, it really continues to go into kind of the trajectory that the season has really taken an unexpected turn. We talked about it a lot yesterday. Going into the All-Star break, you were really rolling. You were playing, extremely well. Yeah, you did have that loss going into All-Star break that didn't feel good on the road against the Clippers, 128-114. You look at the record. 36-18, only 18 wins on the season. Since then, you have lost 14 games going in the wrong direction, and you look up right now, you're on a 4-game losing streak. You look at both the Clippers and the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're going in the opposite direction. The Grizzlies are going down right now. Those other two teams are moving up in the right direction, and so, it's one of those where it feels like these next games, 6 games coming up for the Grizzlies are very important because you would love, I think, and I would love everyone's opinion on this, I think you would love to stay out of the play-in. Now, I could be wrong because, and I'll get to that in a second, but let us know. 901-360-8255, Sissy's Log Cabin listener line. Where do you think the Grizzlies are going to finish out, and what do you want the Grizzlies? Where do you want the Grizzlies to finish out? But right now, looking at it, the Clippers, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Timberwolves 7-3 in their last 10 games. Both those teams playing extremely well. So right now, I mentioned it. You're the 8. Let's say everything's done today and brackets locked. We're going to the playoffs. So you would play the Clippers in that first game of the play-in tournament. If you won that game, which you haven't had much success this year against the Clippers, if you won that game, you would be the 7 seed and you would play the Houston Rockets in the playoffs. I've heard a lot of people say, give me the Rockets in the playoffs if you're the Grizzlies. They have matched up well with them. They're 1-3 against them this year, but you look at a lot of those games, they were close games that came down to the wire. Came down to the wire, and maybe something happens here, something happens there. You would have won that game. So a lot of people would like to see a series against the Houston Rockets. If you lose that game against the Clippers, but then win the next game against the winner of the Mavericks and the Kings, you would be the 8th seed. Nobody wants to be the 8th seed. You would end up going and playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I don't think anybody wants to be the 8. Maybe the 7 over the 6, because if you're the 6th seed, then you play the 3 seed, which right now is the LA Lakers. So I guess it's just, pick your poison at this point. But, it's starting to seem like that's where you're going to be, either 6, maybe you can make it back up to 5, but it really feels like 6 or in the play-in is kind of where you're going to land if you're the Grizzlies, which, we talked about this. We've talked about it a lot lately. You go back 2 months ago, we never expected, that the Grizzlies would be talking about play-in. You were talking about, can you keep the 2 seed? If not, do you want to be the 3 seed or 4 seed, or where are you going to land? But now we're talking about play-in, and then that just means tonight is a super important game against the Miami Heat. We'll get a lot into that game because the Miami Heat are playing really well right now. They've won last night. They've won 6 in a row. Last night, a big win on the road against the Boston Celtics. But how about this, Landon? Grizzlies on the road tonight, a 5.5-point favorite against the Miami Heat. So at least Vegas thinks Grizzlies have an edge tonight.
Yeah, and I think tonight's got to be a must-win, especially with the losing streak we're going on. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting what you're bringing up with kind of what's been going on. I mean, obviously we had the earth-shattering news of releasing Taylor Jenkins, and at just such a random spot in the season. Didn't really make any sense. We still really haven't had anything come out as to what the reasoning was behind it. It's just kind of all up in the air with speculation and whatnot. But I wanted to ask you, it almost seemed like the Grizzlies were on this downward spiral before the releasing of Taylor Jenkins. What do you think was the huge change? What do you think led to this? Because we're still going down after Taylor Jenkins, so it couldn't have been just purely the coaching. What do you think else played a huge factor in why the Grizzlies are not performing the way they did beginning of season and midseason?
Yeah, well, it's a really good question, and I'm very excited to talk to Keith Smith at 4 o'clock, because we've talked a lot about it and we're kind of looking for answers, and it feels like a lot of people are. And so maybe Keith Smith has a little bit more of an insight on that and maybe the reasoning behind it. I said this yesterday with Brett, and I still think it. I think no matter what happens the rest of the year, Tomas Isolo is going to be the head coach next season for the Memphis Grizzlies, because you just said it. You were already moving in the wrong direction. The same issues that were happening last week in that loss against Oklahoma City, which after that loss against Oklahoma City was when they made the decision to fire Taylor Jenkins. The same issues that happened in that game were happening 2 months ago when you were dropping road games before All-Star break against the Clippers. Now, the losses hadn't stacked up like they now have stacked up, but and that would make you think, okay, get through the end of the season, then make a change. So I don't know what happened that was like, right now, this second, we have to make a change. And maybe Keith Smith will have a better idea. But I think you can say this. I think that game against the Warriors was the best I felt about the Grizzlies in the last couple of weeks. You know, just the way that they played in that game. You know, you give up 45 points, I think it was, in the first quarter. I looked over at Darian. We were at the game. I looked over at Darian, and I go, it's going to be a long night. You know, there's no stopping Steph Curry. There's no stopping this Warriors team. And then they kind of settled down a little bit. Brett and I talked at halftime, and we both said, Zach Edey hadn't had a very good first half. Second half, he was fantastic. And it was maybe the best half of basketball that he has played, I don't want to say all season, but in a really long time.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. I mean, blocking shots, getting putbacks, getting rebounds. You know, he was really good in that second half. And so I do think that maybe you can make a case that Tomas Isolo slowly but surely is maybe implementing things that the team is buying into. Certainly the big talk was the pick and roll and how the Grizzlies, Ja Morant, there was reporting done last weekend that said Ja Morant wants to run more pick and roll and did not like that the offense that they had been running was running less pick and roll. And so who knows? Maybe it was just time, and maybe there was stuff going behind the scenes when you're on a losing streak. A lot of people talked about it. I don't remember what game it was where Desmond Bane pushed Santi, and everyone was like, uh-oh. You know, they ended up winning that game. I guess it was their last win. They ended up winning that game against the Jazz. It was against the Jazz because everyone was like, oh, no, you're going to lose to the Jazz. And then Desmond Bane pushes Santi Aldama. They end up coming back. They end up winning the game. Maybe in the locker room, it'd gotten to a point, maybe in the front office, I think that's probably more likely, it had gotten to a point where the front office is saying, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. Terry Jenkins saying, let me coach my team. You know, we're in a rough spot right now. Let me coach my team. All right, coach, get out of here. Maybe it was the locker room. Maybe the guys weren't responding to it. And Keith Smith always says the second you lose the locker room is the second that coach has got to go. There's no waiting. I think it was either this year or last year. Maybe it was Sacramento earlier this season, or maybe it was last year. It was last year. It was when Milwaukee made the change last year, and it was kind of not this late, certainly, but it was kind of one of those, man, why do you make this move? And Keith Smith said he lost the locker room, and the second you lose the locker room, you've got to make a coaching change. So I really don't know. We'll definitely talk about that with Keith around 4 o'clock. I did want to bring this up. Speaking of the Grizzlies, yesterday we talked about, and it became a big storyline, not only around the city, but around the entire country when it comes to NBA, that the NBA was looking into Ja Morant using finger gun motions toward the Golden State Warriors bench last night, sources tell me, and Tim McMahon, which, let me just tell you something. I'm sorry. Like, maybe it's not something I should laugh at. The wording finger guns just makes me laugh every time. It's
childish.
It's so funny. It is so
That's like
funny.
Elementary playground
It really
type
is.
talk.
Like the teacher's like, you shouldn't be, doing finger guns.
Yeah,
like, it's so funny to me. But earlier today, Shams Charania put out on social media that the NBA issued warnings, no further penalties to both Ja Morant and Warriors Buddy Hield, along with both teams, for both teams' gestures on Tuesday night, sources tell ESPN. League ruled the celebrations were not intended to be violent in nature, but inappropriate and should refrain. So got reprimanded for using the finger guns in that game against Golden State. I'll be honest, I didn't even notice it when it happened. And I was at the game, so it's a lot harder than watching it on TV and kind of seeing it. I didn't notice it at all during the game. And so yesterday morning when this came out, I was like, what in the world? Finger? What are we talking about? I didn't even see that. But, it is something, and we talked about this yesterday. I think two things can be true at the same time. One, Ja Morant should probably know in the back of his head, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't go for the finger motion, because I know that's the thing that people are going to, when I do it, people are going to say, uh-oh, there goes Ja. We've seen him with real guns. Now he's doing gun movements. If Jaren Jackson Jr. does a 3-point celebration where he pulls out the gun or something like that, nobody's going to bat an eye, right? But because Ja Morant has that history, there's a little bit more to that. I think that's true. Ja Morant probably should be a little smarter than that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, on the flip hand, go watch an NBA game, go watch a college game, go watch a high school game even. And you're going to see somebody have a 3-point or some type of celebration where they have finger guns. It is just something that is become very popular in basketball. Not saying that it should be. Not saying that that's the celebration that people should do, but it is something that has gotten super popular. You see it around the NBA. I saw people posting clips of other NBA players and NBA teams that were doing it. And so, yeah, I think two things can be true. I don't think it should have been as blown up of a story as it was yesterday. But at the same time, if you're Ja Morant, that when that happens and it gets pointed out, that's going to be the story, and that's going to be the headlines. But definitely good news that it just ended up being warnings for both sides. Well, we've got a really busy show today, so let me set it up before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Steve Macy from the Showboats. He'll join us. We'll talk about game number 1 for the Showboats. Preview game number 2 against the DC Defenders. He'll join us in our next segment. 3:45, we'll talk some Major League Baseball, some good stuff. Yesterday, we've got some games already in action today as well, so we'll do a little bit of that to end the hour. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He'll join us to talk the NBA, as we got to talk Taylor Jenkins, we got to talk Grizzlies, and everything else going on in the NBA. Last night, a really fun slate in the NBA, and tonight should be another good one, especially with the Grizzlies in action on TNT. Speaking of the Grizzlies, 4:30, we'll break down tonight's game against the Miami Heat. That game, another one, I know it's not at home, so you don't really have to worry about getting down to FedEx Forum, but in case you're wanting to get in front of your television, 6:30 tip time, which means more 6:40, because this is another TNT game. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston. He'll join us to talk Tigers. We'll talk a lot of Tiger basketball and Tiger spring football, as that's in action, but Tiger basketball, a lot of guys already visited. It feels like Penny Hardaway cast a wide net this year when it came to guys in the transfer portal. I don't think I have the official count. I don't think my number is the most accurate number out there, but it's pretty close. Right now, I have 42 guys that at least have made it public that Memphis has reached out to them in the portal. So that's a lot of guys. Only 15-man roster, so
that's good though. He's making moves.
It's casting a wide net. You know,
it is.
If you go out there and call 42, at least 10 are going to say yes, right? You feel pretty good about that. So we'll talk to Greg Gaston about that, but also, like I mentioned, Tiger football. They've got spring practice going on, spring game here in a couple of weeks. We'll talk to him about some of those position battles. He'll join us at 5 o'clock. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. We got to talk NFL draft getting a little bit closer, and the Dallas Cowboys have a new backup quarterback that we need to talk about. I'm going to let you tell me, Landon, if I should be excited or not about the new quarterback. We'll do that at 5:30. 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's pool time, and they're already booking pool installs for 2025. Buy now and get on the list for your pool installation. 2024 pool starting at $19.99 installed. Liner starting at $299. All pool accessories up to 20% off, and 5 to 6 person hot tubs starting at $69.99. Swim spas and cold plunge tubs, they're $2 $2,000 off. And don't forget about the patio furniture, now up to 50% off on select sets. Mention this ad and get free installation only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Be a part of the show with the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. Text or call. What do you think about tonight's Grizzlies game against the Miami Heat? Is it must win? Is tonight's game a must win on the road against the Miami Heat? Let us know. Text in the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. And as always, this first hour brought to you each and every afternoon by Lexus of Memphis. We got to thank them for being a part of the show. Make sure right now, whether or not the best, but it should clear up for the weekend. Maybe get out there and test drive some vehicles and let Lexus of Memphis help you out to find your next perfect vehicle. But let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be the Memphis Grizzlies. We've talked a ton about them, and really, I think a lot of NBA talking heads across the country are talking about the Grizzlies right now. Look, before the season started, it was kind of a mixed bag of predictions of what will the Grizzlies be this year. Last year was a year of injuries, and now this season, everyone coming back. We certainly, here in Memphis, had very high expectations because we had seen what this team could do and knew that once they got healthy, everybody back is going to be more of the same that we had come to know before the injuries. But that's kind of how it was at the beginning of the season, right? You know, you're in the 2 seed, you're playing well, you're trying to fend off some of these teams from that 2 spot, but now you look up on April 3rd, you've got an interim head coach, and you're in the 8th seed, and if everything ended today, you would be playing in the play-in, an opportunity to get the 2 seed, but at least standing-wise would be getting the number 1 overall seed, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And that's why the question is tonight a must-win for the Grizzlies against the Miami Heat? When you're on this 4-game losing streak, you look at the success the Grizzlies have had this year against the Eastern Conference, and more to that, the success that the Grizzlies have had against teams under 500. Right now, the Miami Heat 35-41 on the season, and the Grizzlies have just played really well against those type of teams that are under 500. Right now, the Grizzlies 33-9 versus below 500 teams, but on the flip side of that, Miami Heat may be playing the best basketball of the season. 6 wins in a row, including a win last night on the road against the Boston Celtics. We'll talk a lot more about this game if it is a must-win, but tonight's important. I mentioned it, Grizzlies a 5.5-point favorite. I think a lot of that is Grizzlies had last night off. Miami on the road in Boston had to fly back to Miami and then play early tonight. So we'll see how it all plays out, but I don't know. Let us know. Is it a must-win tonight?
Yeah, my top story, I alluded to it a little bit earlier today, but hey, my Mets coming out on top over the Marlins.
Yes.
They take the series 2-1 over the Marlins, and I'm not a huge fan of kind of the pattern the Mets have right now. It's going loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. We're 3-3 right now. A lot of people, I think, expected the Mets to be playing a lot better. A lot of them kind of hammering it home. But as I've been watching these games, it's almost like the Mets are still trying to find their groove. Last night with their game, it looks like they were just, I don't know if it's definitely not intentional, but it just looked like they were making things difficult. Their third baseman was making some questionable calls. I mean, Francisco was, he started to get back in the groove, but that game 2 against the Marlins, he was just making errors that you wouldn't expect from a veteran shortstop like that. And, throughout those games, veteran hitters and stuff just weren't making their mark. But last night, the man of the hour, the man of the game, Pete Alonso, when the Mets were down 4-1 in the middle of the game, he drills a ball into center field, hits that home run, gets a 3-run homer, sends people home, sends it tied up, and then we're getting into extra innings in a really, really good game to eventually win this series over the Marlins. They got the Blue Jays today. That started about an hour ago, so I'll be getting updates. I don't think we're going to be giving live updates here.
Yeah, I don't think we'll do play-by-play for the Mets.
Since I wouldn't say I'm a minority when it comes to being a Mets fan in Memphis, but I feel like I fan.
No, there are definitely Met fans in Memphis, but
Well,
yeah, it's
Met fans in Memphis, I speak for you.
Yeah.
We're looking for something good. Juan Soto looks good. I mean, my boy Brandon Nimmo, he's just out there killing it. He's been very consistent with the team so far. So things are looking up, and we'll just see how they perform against the Blue Jays.
Keep on rolling.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, I'll keep it short and sweet. We're 2 days away from the Final Four. A Final Four that includes all number 1 seeds. Florida and Auburn will get us started about 5 o'clock on CBS, and then it will be Houston and Duke following that. I'm super excited. Both these games, I think the storylines are there. The intrigue is there. I mean, it speaks for itself. All 4 number 1 seeds, the best teams, the stat that's been going around, Ken Pom, their top 10 teams in the Ken Pom era in terms of efficiency levels. 4 of them are playing in this year's Final Four. So you are getting some of the, in terms of, again, I've heard the argument, well, these aren't 4 of the best teams we've ever seen in a Final Four. But if you're just talking about efficiency-wise, these are 4 extremely efficient teams that are playing really, really well. And so I'm excited. I've said it multiple times. I'm much more excited for the Houston-Duke game. I think Duke's defense and Houston's defense and then what Duke does on the offensive side. But I don't think people give Duke enough credit for what they do defensively, especially Cooper Flagg. I mean, it's very easy, especially talking about prospects, especially talking about college guys, to just look at the box score, tell me points, rebounds, assists, steals, whatever. If you sit down and watch Cooper Flagg just play defense, he is a very talented defender. So I think that's going to be a really fun one. The total of that game, maybe the lowest total we've had of the entire NCAA tournament. 135.5. Yeah, sign me up for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have Houston winning it all?
Before the tournament started, I had Houston beating Florida. So I'm gonna stick with that.
I have Auburn over Duke.
Wow,
not a lot of people are picking Auburn from the people that I've talked to. It's been a lot of Florida.
They kind of limped into the NCAA tournament as much as a team of their stature can limp.
Man, I was about to say they've been pretty dominant on their side of the ball. Well, my not top story, to make it just real quick, is just the NFL. The whole offseason to this point, a lot of moves have been made. The 2 most recent is Geno Smith signing with the Raiders on a 2-year, $85.5 million deal worth $66.5 million guaranteed on that contract. Geno Smith has proven himself as a solid, reliable quarterback, especially for being so much later in his career where he's at right now. So I think the Raiders will carry on, especially with Pete Carroll at the helm there. I think they'll have something rolling there, especially when you got a young stud like Brock Bowers at tight end, a great, reliable receiver for him. And as we just mentioned today, the Patriots trading over Joe Milton to the Cowboys. Look, I mean, Joe Milton had 1 game, but it was apparently enough to impress the league to see this dude can move, he can run around, he can throw the ball, puts it where it needs to be. So I don't know, it could be very, very exciting for him.
Who knows? We'll definitely talk about that a little bit later during What's Trending. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. When we come back, we're talking Showboat. Steve Macy, he joins us next.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the little red tractor from Case IH, the farm lawn, to help them make short work of demanding chores. Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list. From hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH farm lawn that's right for you.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it. But not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through HIMS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to HIMS.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Forever, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis. Spring is really one of the best times of year for sports and visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. The Bell Tavern is a sports bar, but with the beginning of baseball, the stretch run for the Grizzlies, and everything else that's going on, there is simply no better place to be than Bell Tavern. One thing people say all the time is that they have made more friends at Bell Tavern than they have at any other bar. And that's because Bell Tavern is a grown-up bar where people treat one another with respect, and that's how you make friends. You go to a friendly place and find out what you have in common, like, say, Bell Tavern.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Clearing up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. We're still dealing with some pretty heavy downpours moving through the Memphis area right now, causing some delays. Just give yourself extra time out here. Again, it's picking up through Midtown on 240 South and South Parkway. Watching it build already with some volume on 240 East from Mill Branch, headed out towards 385. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters. Shop local, save a ton of money at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Covers. Here are your hosts, Star Sports Movie and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you. No Brett today. We're about to talk to Steve Macy. We're having a little bit of phone issues, obviously, with all of the weather, so we'll try to get with Steve as quickly as we can. We're going to talk showboats with Steve Macy. We talked a little showboats earlier this week, but they start the season 0-1 on the year. A loss to start the season against the Michigan Panthers. It was a game that, it had the intrigue at the end because of kind of the UFL rules. They were down by 9, but that still was just a one-possession game in the UFL. Came up just short, played 2 quarterbacks, so it'll be interesting with Steve if he thinks they do the same thing this coming up weekend against the DC Defenders, a DC Defenders team that won over the weekend against the Birmingham Stallions. So we'll definitely talk UFL and the showboats with Steve Macy the second that we're able to. But before that, I guess since we're talking football, let's go ahead and talk some NFL as we get a little bit closer to the draft. It feels like really all things NFL right now are draft related. We talked yesterday about the mock draft that came out on ESPN yesterday that had Jackson Dart going number 21 overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But a new one came out today again on the 21 overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it feels like a lot of people, insiders that are getting their information from reliable people, at least have Jackson Dart and think that the Pittsburgh Steelers could be a good spot for him in the NFL draft. And we'll see. We talked about it yesterday of kind of what that would look like. Pittsburgh, they went into the season last year with quote unquote 2 starting quarterbacks that they wanted to try to work with, but ended up once Russell Wilson got healthy, he was the guy. And now both those guys are at new places. Both him and Justin Fields are both at new stops. And so, they've got to start over. They want Aaron Rodgers. It feels like, Aaron Rodgers' options are dwindling. And, this has been an offseason where it hasn't been as much of the extracurricular stuff with Aaron Rodgers. We're still waiting for him to make a decision, but it's not what we had last year where it felt like every single other day there was a new story about, he's doing this or he's doing that. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. It's a lot more low key, I guess, this offseason. But in saying that, it feels like we really don't know what the answer is going to be. I feel like at this point last year, we knew he still wants to play football. It's just, is it going to be with the Jets? Do the Jets want him back? What's that going to look like? But this year, it's absolutely nothing. And we don't really know, does he want to keep playing? Does he not want to keep playing? We know it's not going to be with the Jets. And so what does that look like if he goes and signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do they still want to go out and draft kind of a number one overall or take a quarterback in the first round with that first pick that they have? It's the question that, I don't think any of us will really know until we get to NFL draft weekend. If he does sit behind Aaron Rodgers, there's certainly worse quarterbacks to sit behind, and so we will see what that looks like for Jackson Dart. In terms of the top of the draft, it feels like we know kind of what the top of the draft will look like, at least 1 through 4. It feels like every single mock draft that comes out has those same guys listed, and certainly Landon for your Tennessee Titans. I mean, it feels like you can start printing the jerseys and selling them because it feels.
I don't want them to.
Well, it feels like we know where they're going, and it feels like it's going to be a quarterback with Cam Ward. So we'll continue to keep up going on right now with the NFL offseason, NFL draft. We'll talk a little bit later about some of the news just coming across the screen. Trey McBride agreed to a 4-year, $76 million extension with the Arizona Cardinals. So it feels like he will stay in Arizona. So definitely a lot of news coming out, a lot of extensions taking place right now in the NFL. Let's take an early break here, and when we come back, we'll see if we can get the phones working and if we can get a hold of Steve Macy. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Pools and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdingers. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdingers, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdingers offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
It's tax season, and by now, I know we're all a bit tired of numbers, but here's an important one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Here's another 20%. That's the overall increase in identity theft-related tax fraud in 2024 alone. Wow. But it's not all grim news. Here's a good number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If If your identity's stolen, LifeLock has a U.S.-based restoration specialist. They'll work to fix it. Backed by another good number, the $1 Million Protection Package. In fact, restoration's guaranteed or your money back. Don't face identity theft and financial losses alone. There's strength in numbers. And with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection for tax season and beyond. Join now, save up to 40% on your first year with the promo code HERD. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to LifeLock.com. The promo code is HERD, H-E-R-D, for 40% off. Terms apply.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two conveyor lines and the largest bench ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports Time. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Star Sports Movie, Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Landon with you. We're live and local this afternoon in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now to talk some showboats, Steve Macy joins us now. Steve, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, a lot going on over the last week with the showboats getting the season started. 0-1, unfortunately, but they have another opportunity to get the first win of the season this weekend against DC. But let's go back to even before the game on Sunday. Last Saturday, I know y'all put on a preseason kind of party event at Ghost River Brewing. How did that go, kind of getting everyone excited for the start of the season?
I will tell you this: if we could get credit in the one-loss column for an event, we'd have definitely gotten a W. It was fantastic, and it was really, really fun. The players are just phenomenal. They got up with the band, and one of the guys played the bongos. Some other guys did basically karaoke. They sing along with the band, and I think our fan base got a chance to see some personality and to have some fun with the guys. And then we, of course, got to launch our beer, which is the Memphis Showboats Touchdown Light Lager with our friends at Ghost River, and it's a delicious beer. And a few of them came home with me, and they've been able to be consumed this week, and it was a really, really fun event, and it's great to have our guys in the community doing stuff with people and having a little bit of fun.
Now, I didn't ask this last week when we talked about this Showboats branded beer from Ghost River. Is this something that's going to be available during the season at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium during Showboats games?
Unfortunately, no. The stadium has an exclusive deal with one of his competitors, and so Ghost River is not able to be served in the stadium. But as the beer has been well received, and Bob Keskey is the owner there, and he's just been an amazing partner. Been super supportive, and we're excited about having our watch party there on Saturday night. For all of our road games, we'll be there at Ghost River on Main.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fest atmosphere. But the idea here is that once these sold out, then he'll build another batch, and we'll have it available at retail outlets rather than just at the brewery itself. So I think it really is delicious. That helps. Obviously, it's a light lager, great flavor. It's got that Ghost River Brewery taste to it, so it's a fantastic beer.
Mm-hmm. I know some people that went out to the game Sunday morning, had a blast. I was there. I was helping out with the radio broadcast. I was planning on going as just a fan, but I had some buddies that went. They had a blast there Sunday morning. How do you think, outside of obviously the loss, how do you think things went for the first game of the season?
I think operationally things went really, really well. We had a good hour-long conversation today with the stadium, just going over some of the little things that we wanted to fix and correct and make a little bit better, from a fan experience standpoint, whether it was doing a couple little small things in the suites, a couple of things in terms of communication with fans as they're walking around. I mean, the best story for us was that the things to fix are small. Mm-hmm. There really wasn't something we go, oh my gosh, this was a big deal. How are we going to solve this? It was just a bunch of little things that are just common to a big event, and really, really proud of us and our team. And then obviously super thankful and appreciative of our relationship with Brian Hoffman and his team at the stadium. They're just absolutely a dream to work with, and they're as interested as putting on a first-class show and treating our fans with a great attitude as we are. And so it's a great partnership with the university and the stadium.
Yeah, it absolutely is. The game itself, you saw a lot from the Showboats team, a game that, because of the rules in the UFL, down to the very end, the Showboats were still in it. They were able to get the ball back, had an opportunity to drive down the field, and could have tied it, could have taken the lead, but unfortunately an interception ended that. They split time at the quarterback position. Both E.J. Perry, Troy Williams, both saw a lot of playing time. We kind of talked with you about that the last couple of weeks of kind of who's going to be QB1. Are we going to see a lot of both of them? We did. Do you think that's something that's going to continue this week against D.C., that we'll see a lot of both of them? Or do you think, as we've seen, obviously they've seen a lot of them through camp, now we've seen them in one game, do you think it will kind of be a, hey, EJ, you're our guy for the full game today, or hey, Troy, you're the guy to go this week against DC?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. And last week, we all knew that both guys were going to play. What we didn't know is that they were going to alternate possessions regardless. And you got to give a lot of credit. I mean, Coach said, this is what we're going to do. That's what they did. And even when it felt like one guy or the other had a hot hand at one point in time, he said, nope, the integrity of what I'm telling the guys and what they need to hear from me is I'm going to be a man of my word. And he was. And so that's kind of how it played out. And look, both guys had moments of greatness, and both guys had a play they'd like to get back.
Yeah.
I think the couple of interceptions, especially the ones in the fourth quarter, were ones you just say, man, those were just not good decisions at the time. And both of them were early in the downs. One was on first down, one was on second down. And they could have easily been thrown away without causing any issues. So I think there's some room for growth there. But the thing I liked is both guys showed some good mobility. Both guys showed that they could move the ball down the field against a very, very good defense throughout the whole afternoon.
Yeah, and that's a good point by you, because we were kind of talking about that during the game. But, Coach Jim Turner, he's stepping in as kind of the interim head coach right now, and so it's he I'm sure that this is something that's been told to these guys for a couple of weeks now. He goes in there but it still kind of sticks to what the idea was of we're gonna split time, you are gonna alternate. We have this kind of game plan for this game, and so I thought that was a big thing for the first game. You mentioned the defense for Michigan, but Showboats defensively I thought looked really good in that first game. Sure, couple plays that they'd love to get back. There were I know at least one. Puka Nakua's younger brother caught a big time touchdown. That was a pretty deep pass. But other than that, I thought defensively the Showboats looked really good. And former Memphis Tiger Jalen Allen, he had his fingerprints all over that game defensively. What'd you make of what we saw from the defense?
Yeah, let's start with Jalen, because he got a sack and he was so excited. Post game press conference. He got asked that question. He got a big old smile on his face. And he unzipped his jacket. He had a Tigers shirt on underneath, and really excited to be representing Memphis. And just as someone that's been here for this season 3, And year one, we had Brady White, which was a former Tiger, and now we've got him, and it's a cool thing to have someone that's got some local ties playing for the Showboats, and he was just ecstatic to be playing professional football here in Memphis. So just that aside was kind of a cool thing, and he was just beaming in the press conference. That was really a neat thing to see, and how prideful he is representing the 901. And I think you're right. I think the defense did look good. I think there was a couple lapses, and on one play that they busted right down the middle, it was just something they set up all day long and were able to execute it. And as soon as they hit it, you saw it, and you went, yeah, that's they have faked that all day long, and they finally went with it, and we got burned on it. But other than that, I think it was a strong showing. I think the front seven, as we had talked about being a very improved aspect of the team, looked really strong. Yeah. And they got after the quarterback, especially in the second half, were able to get in the backfield all day long. And so I'm very impressed with how they looked. And, after the first couple scores, really shut things down outside of that one broken play.
Yeah, and then, you look at some of the other things, and I think, little things that you can correct. I mean, you had that one touchdown, Bryce Perkins, he bobbles the snap, he finally picks it up, and then he breaks like 5 tackles to pick up 3 yards. If you can just, wrap up and make that tackle, which is definitely something that can be corrected. That was a fourth down. You get the ball, and
it
that
was.
could be
That was hard. Game. Yep. You're right. That was just a total breakdown early in the game. It's just frustrating for sure. But yeah, that's just something that happens, and it's things you can correct. And I think there's a lot of positive things to take out of the defensive effort this first week.
Absolutely. Watching the UFL over the weekend, one of the big things that jumps out to you, and we talked about this last year, but the accessibility to really everything when watching these games. They've got sideline reporters that are talking to the coaches, that are talking to the players after big plays. They've got live cameras up in the boxes with the coordinators where you're hearing what they're saying and how they're kind of breaking down the plays they're setting up or the defenses they're trying to get into. It feels like, from an accessibility standpoint, it's the best you're going to find anywhere in sports. Talk about kind of where the UFL wants to be in terms of, we might not be the NFL, but look at all of this accessibility of kind of behind-the-scenes football that you're going to get when watching one of our games.
And I think that's an awesome point. From the television product itself is the best football product there is. Whether it's you're a fan or not a fan of one of the teams or the league itself, the things you learn about how a professional football game is run and operated, you'll never learn it unless you're on the sideline. And this is giving you an opportunity to see that, which is incredible. I mean, it's just the sheer, the things you listed about, and then there's even the interviews during the game. They're walking into the team huddles or sitting down with the quarterback on the sideline and going through what he saw in his progressions right on the spot.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing. If you like football even a little bit, you can glean so much from watching one of our games and how kind of what the decision-making process is and what the coaches and the players are thinking. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, I think that was probably one of the coolest things I saw over the weekend. It was I went after the game was over. I watched the ESPN broadcast of the Showboats and the Panthers game, and I think it was the Panthers' third-string quarterback, and they are talking with him, and they said, walk us through this play as it's taking place. And so he's on the sideline, and he's talking through, okay, well, we're going to read here, we're going to look here, if this guy's open, we're going to throw here, and everything he's saying is exactly how it's playing out on the field. And you're going, man, just the way that these quarterbacks have to think to be able to kind of get that access and hear them break it down was really, really cool. And then kind of the other aspect of it was ESPN has a dedicated gambling expert for UFL. Erin Dolan has been on both the ESPN games. They've gone to her during the games. Hey, live odds, what are you looking at? So, UFL really saying that we're going to go all in on kind of the gambling aspect of the sport as well.
And I think that's a reflection on where the broadcast partners want to take it. I think that's their ability to take it in that space. I don't know that I would say that this is a major thrust of the league is to say we want to be a gambling league. Right. That is certainly not where anybody's trying to take it. And I think that ESPN, obviously it's important to them and building their brand and some of the sports betting that they want to do. But I think everything is about the entertainment value. How can you take you take a football game and make it more entertaining to watch? And while the television product is through the roof, one of our challenges is that that's the case. Mm-hmm. But the television product is so cool, and you can't emulate a lot of those things in the stands. You can't sit there and let the quarterback walk you through on the video board what's about to happen. The defense can be standing there looking at the video board and going, okay, we got you,
Mm-hmm.
before it happens. So there's certain limitations of what we could do in the game, which is why we're trying to find as many opportunities as possible, whether it's the $5 concessions or we've got wrestling coming up at our next home game next Saturday. Things just to make it more than just a football game that people say, man, this is really, really fun.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Well, this Saturday, a road game in D.C. against the Defenders. You mentioned the watch party. Where can people go Saturday night to catch all the action?
Yeah, so it's a twofer, right? You get to go get the Showboats touchdown light lager, and you get to watch the Showboats at Ghost River on Main Street at their new location. Well, not their location. They have the tap room, but they built the brand new building, which is a phenomenal place to watch a sporting event. And we'll be out there. We'll have some cheer, and we'll have our mascot Skipper and some of our staff giving some stuff away. And we're just going to have fun at Ghost River as always. It's as I said, Bob Kesky's been an awesome partner to us on this, and we're looking forward to having a little bit of fun with some Showboats fans, maybe making some new fans at the event on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Steve, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Hey, thanks, guys. Stay dry.
Yeah, right back at you. Thanks, Steve. Steve Macy joining us to talk Showboats. And, like we said, Showboats really competitive in that first game, despite coming up with the loss Saturday night against the Defenders. Go out there to Ghost River and support this team and try that new beer. It sounds like I got to get my hands on it. Sounds like it's really good, according to Steve Macy. I know my friends will definitely want to try it. But let's go ahead and wrap up this first hour, get to a break, and when we return, we're talking NBA. Keith Smith from Spa Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us next.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Sports and Mexican food. You can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with reservations from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $4.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Spring is in the air, and that means it's time to get your Choate's AC tune-up. Choate's has proudly served the Mid-South for 67 years, and to celebrate, we're offering our AC tune-up for just $67 per unit. Make sure your system is running efficiently before the summer heat arrives. But hurry, this special offer won't last long. And if you're thinking about upgrading your system, now's the time. Install a new Carrier HVAC system and choose your deal. Up to $2,100 in instant cool cash rebates, 60 months no interest financing, or free air duct cleaning with install. It's time to spring clean with Choate's and enjoy cleaner air, better comfort, and big savings. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com to schedule your service today. Turn to the experts with Choate's and let our family serve your family.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away. Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So, what's that about?
So, let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. And finishing up that FedEx truck that crashed, there's still a left lane blocked here on 40 westbound, right at the Fayette County, Shelby County line. That's 40 coming westbound in from Fayette County. Trying to clean up an accident in the Midtown area. Traffic's finally starting to move a little bit better down. 240 going southbound, just past Norris. Again, now it's building out of Midtown big time on 240, and we're still dodging some rain showers out here. Please be careful. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters. Go by and see them right now at 7525 Highway 64, Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show. And on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you as we start our second hour. As always on Thursdays, we talk NBA with Keith Smith. He joins us now. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. Plenty to get to when it comes to the NBA, but it feels like the biggest story in the NBA right now is what's going on with the Memphis Grizzlies, specifically what happened last Friday with Taylor Jenkins getting fired by the team. What do you make of that decision by the Memphis Grizzlies to, with 9 games at the time left in the season, fire their head coach?
Yeah, I think when we talked about it a little bit a week ago before it had happened, I said, yeah, unless they make a major run like West Finals or NBA Finals, he's probably gone. Just with the idea being like, hey, eventually you're going to change things up. And I feel like it was half a day later or whatever it was, we find out he is out the door. And I think you guys know I've been talking here for years. I don't ever advocate for people to lose their jobs, but I do think one of the mistakes NBA teams, really sports teams in general, but especially in NBA world, is when they are certain about a coach, a player, a general manager, like they're done, like they're not going to be our person going forward. Why they wait, I've never really understood. If you're already there, make the move. It's certainly from Memphis. I think the idea was this isn't going to get worse. We're already in a spiral. Like we're going to be a postseason team, but it's like we're not going anywhere as is today. Maybe if we make a change, it'll spark something. Why not give it a shot? Let's see what it looks like. It feels a little bit like a desperate move, and I assume it kind of is. But I mean, they're 2-8 in their last 10, lost 4 in a row. Nothing's really changing there. I think there's a lot more issues than just the coach. But if you're going to make the coach move, you might as well make the move when you feel like you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely get that. When you look at the interim head coach, Tomas Isolo, a lot of people, when he was hired from Europe, was a very successful coach in Europe. A lot of people thought that they were bringing him in to kind of be maybe the next guy. Not necessarily that Taylor Jenkins would be fired the very next season before the year was over, but that maybe if he comes in as an assistant for a year or two, maybe 3 years, then maybe if you have to make a move, he's the next guy. How do you view him as a coach and his chances of maybe being the permanent head coach for the Memphis Grizzlies?
Yeah, it was a little funny when they brought him in. There's a lot of talk of, he's going to, push our offense in this certain direction. And then the way his teams and the teams he was involved with in Europe played was not how they played in Memphis this year. And maybe he's going to try to turn that around now and kind of get them playing more his way. But I think it was Zach Kleiman who said, hey, our expectations are realistic. There's not a lot of time to, bring in new things and bring in new systems and things like that. So I think, he's in a tough spot where, but as long as everybody's being realistic about it, then they'll see. And then what will also help guide the decision-making on whether he gets the job permanently and stays is who else is available come summertime. We know, we're about a week and a half here from the end of the season. Season ends on a Sunday, usually Monday, Tuesday. If coaches are being let go, they're going to be let go. And there's going to be a handful that get let go around the league. I think some of the teams that have been poor this season, it's been kind of by design. They've known, so I don't know that they're going to make changes. But there's going to become coaches that become available. Somebody will have a disappointing playoffs, and a coach will get let go there. And then Memphis will have to decide, where they want to go. But in the interim time, it's up to him to try to reverse this. And I know right now it feels like all is lost, and it's a play-in tournament spot, and that's really it. But I mean, they're still right there. There's no reason they can't even get back in the mix for a home court advantage. The clock's ticking on that, but you can still get up and out of the play-in tournament and into one of the top 6 spots. But they got to turn it around very quickly.
Yeah, I assure you, Keith, vibes are not high right now here in Memphis for this Grizzlies team. It is not great. And then on top of it, you have Steph Curry come in and have one of his best games of the season, dropping a house on the Grizzlies. So, no, it has not been fun. But, when you look at this team, John Moran is back and playing. Last week when we talked to you, he was still out and had missed 5 or 6 games in a row. He's back. He's playing well. When you just view this team on the court, the way they're playing, what do you see? Because it's been losses. I know a lot of people are trying to say, well, they looked better against the Warriors the other night, had them late, could have won that game if they didn't give up the run at the very end of that game. What are you seeing with the on-court Grizzlies right now?
Yeah, I think there's a handful of things that you look at. It feels like they are a little bit of front runners, meaning when they are playing well, they'll blow a team out. Like, they'll blow their doors off. That's why, despite the slide, they still have one of the better net ratings in the league, but then in closer games, they struggle. Even if you look at the Boston game, they had control of that game for a while, and then the Celtics flipped it and kind of turned it into a blowout the other way. They foul far too much. I love Jaren Jackson Jr. I've been one of the people saying he should be, in the All-NBA mix. He should certainly be in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year, but he's got to quit with the bad fouls.
Yeah.
The fouls that happen 45, 50 feet from the basket when he's up pressing on a ball handler for whatever unknown reason, that's not good enough. That you can't have those kind of things. And then when he is out there and he fouls, where he just grabs somebody in rebounding action. He did it against Boston. He's grabbing Peyton Pritchard. You're a foot taller than Peyton Pritchard. Just grab the rebound.
Yeah.
What are you doing there? And then I think that leads into those are cheap, easy points for the other side. They don't rebound very well defensively. They're kind of middle of the pack. That it doesn't hold water to me that they shouldn't be better there because they're third in offensive rebounding in the league. So they can clearly rebound. It's just for whatever reason they don't get it done. They're kind of middle in the pack on forcing turnovers, giving the ball up. It just, when you look at all the statistical profile, a lot of the points to they're a slightly better than average team that beats up on bad teams, but when they play the good teams, they're not there. One thing I would like to see is get some more 3-pointers up.
Yeah,
they're middle of the pack and they actually shoot it kind of okay. But the issue there becomes who's going to take them, right? Who can drastically increase their 3-point volume that can get there? I think they're probably pushing against the bounds, and that all adds up to. All right, we're probably headed down the road where we need to see some roster changes just for a new mix and a little bit of a different balance here.
Well, that's a great point by you because, looking especially at the last 3 games, you look at the Grizzlies, they're not shooting the ball bad at all. They're high 40s in terms of percentages and even 3-point shooting. But then you look at it and they're giving up way too many open threes and other teams are, I think the other night against the Warriors, I think they made like 22, 23 threes, while the Grizzlies are shooting 48% from three, but they only make 17 or 18 of them. And so, yeah, that has definitely been a problem. Tonight, Grizzlies see the Miami Heat, a Miami Heat team that just picked up a huge win on the road against the Boston Celtics. They're 6-0 on a 6-game win streak and have been playing a lot better, maybe the best basketball the Miami Heat have played this year. What do you expect to see tonight for the Grizzlies? Can they get back to their winning ways? And, a question that I've heard a lot of people raise today, on various shows, is this a must-win game tonight for the Grizzlies?
It kind of feels like it, just to get things turned in the right direction. Eventually, you got to start feeling good again about yourself as a team. And as they've kind of gone on this slide, just about everybody else in the West is playing pretty good basketball. Denver's kind of sit there, but Denver is they've benched guys, or not benched guys, but sat guys for rest reasons and all sorts of stuff. So you kind of wonder, all right, well, how seriously and how worried about seeding are the Nuggets? And that's a whole different thing. So, yeah, if you're Memphis, you need to kind of start staying in the race with these other teams if you're hoping to not be in the play-in tournament. As far as Miami goes, I think Eric Spoelstra really kind of looked at it and said, all right, if we're going down, I'm going down playing these guys. Mm-hmm. These are going to be my 8-9 guys. I'm going to play these guys when they're available, and that's it. And some other guys who have been good for that Heat team at times in the past, like Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Terry Rozier, they're out of the rotation now. He's going with other guys because they're the ones who are defending. They're playing hard. If anybody in Memphis looks and says, all right, hey, we're 9 games better than this Miami team, this is the easy one where we're going to get back on track. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be easy. They're going to have to work to get that win over Miami.
Yeah, and this is a Miami Heat team that they just beat by 34 points on March 15th. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying, well, you just killed them a couple weeks ago at home. But you're right. This is they are playing a lot differently than they were back even just in March. The Boston Celtics team that you keep a very close eye on, winners of 14 of their last 16. They are extremely red hot right now. And I was watching the game last night, and they pointed out kind of the reverse home-away splits. The Boston has been dominating on the road, still really good at home, but it's not kind of what you would expect to see when looking at those splits. What have you seen these last couple of weeks, really this last month, from this Boston Celtics team?
Yeah, I think after a pretty up and down period through January, where they got off to a really hot start early and then played really 500 basketball for a little bit more than a month, and then they have come out, like you said, playing lights out. I just think they're locking in, and I think it's a spot where it is, all right, it's time to really pick up our pace here. Let's figure this out. Let's start reminding everybody who we are. They've been largely healthy. Like last night, they didn't play Porzingis, Horford, and Holiday. Mm-hmm. So that was by design. Yeah, they all had injuries that they notated them with, but that's really, they're pretty much, I think, have known for a while now. We're locked into the 2 seed. It was going to take a monumental effort to catch Cleveland, and quite frankly, they needed so much help from other teams to catch Cleveland. That just wasn't going to happen. They've already clinched the 2 seed. The Knicks can't catch them. It's been that way for about a week. So I think the Celtics are, you're seeing every game, 1-2 of the major rotation guys are sitting out because they're in a spot where it's, hey, we need to be healthy and rested. That's what we need more than anything else. And then on the road, I think when they get on the road, there's just a heightened level of focus. All right, we really need to go into it. The 6-0 road trip, I'm not going to talk it down at all because it really was, to go 6-0, I don't really care who you're playing. That's a great road trip. And not only that, but they won all 6 games by double digits, which is even more impressive. It wasn't the, major competition. They just the way the schedule fell, they got a lot of the teams that aren't very good in the Western Conference right now. But they went out there, took care of business against all those teams. I mean, they're rounding into form, and I think they're just, get us to a couple weeks from now and the start of the playoffs, because they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they've been playing really, really well. Team that's been playing really well, the Denver Nuggets, now back-to-back losses for them. Lost last night, lost in the game where Jokic put up 61 points, a triple-double, an insane stat line for him. What are you seeing for the Nuggets? Anything to be concerned with? I know that one loss was a really bad Russell Westbrook foul at the very end of that game in double overtime. They should have won that game. Is this something to kind of be concerned about with the Nuggets, or just, hey, this is what happens in an 82-game NBA season?
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned with the losses. I am getting a little concerned that Jamal Murray is back to. This doesn't seem like just like we just talked about with the Celtics. They've been spotting a bunch of guys rest, and I think that's what it was with Nikola Jokic last night. Michael Porter Jr., I don't know. Is something going on there, or is he just getting rest days too? Where are we at? I mean, they rested basically everybody in their last loss. But Murray's been kind of in and out of the lineup recently, and I don't think generally when you're just giving a guy a rest day, it's a rest day. It's not like a rest week. And I'm a little worried that something's going on there that we're just not getting enough, about. Now, if it's something where they're like, hey, we think we could get this handled and it'll be ready to go in, another couple weeks when the playoffs start, well, then it's the right move. Because, seeding matters. They're in the middle of a fire. They could still be a play-in tournament team if they can't get things figured out. But I think in general, I think the Nuggets are more like, hey, as long as we can stay on the right side of the top four and have home court advantage and ideally maybe get back up to 3 and avoid the Thunder, I think they feel like we know what it takes to win a title. We're not going to be really worried about going on the road.
Yeah. A team that's right there around the Grizzlies, the LA Clippers, they're playing really well right now, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Big reason is because the way Kawhi Leonard's been playing since the All-Star break, averaging nearly 25 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.9 steals, and shooting 42.4% from three. What are you seeing right now from Kawhi, and what do you think this Clippers team can do right now in the 7 seed? How do you feel about them going forward and then into the playoffs?
Yeah, like you said, they're playing great. Kawhi's been really good. They defend, really, really well. They're a really good defensive team. Ty Lue's got them playing a little bit faster, which is, I think, helping their offense. He cited Chris Dunn as a guy who's helping to push the pace a little bit more. I think their trade deadline moves were all really smart moves. Getting Bogdan Bogdanovic has really helped stabilize their bench with another guy who can shoot, another guy who can score, and I think that's been good. And as you said, Kawhi's been awesome. Now, going forward, tell me Kawhi's going to be healthy for the playoffs, and I would say, yeah, maybe they make a run, but who knows, right? I mean, he could look great all the way into the first round of the playoffs, look great in the first couple games, and then it's like, Kawhi Leonard's questionable with a knee thing. Mm-hmm. And then who knows, right? So I can't put any faith into the Clippers. I've done it for years now where I've believed in them. I've picked them multiple times to make NBA Finals run. I'm just going to kind of let's see how it goes because I just at this point I just can't trust that Kawhi's going to be there.
Yeah. Last night I was watching the Washington Wizards, and I don't think maybe it's just because I haven't watched the Washington Wizards very much this year, but the amount of young guys they have on that team, 6 guys that were getting minutes, playing a lot. I mean, certainly when you've won 17 games all season, you can play pretty much anybody. But 6 guys on their roster that got big-time minutes last night, either in their first or second season in the NBA. A.J. Johnson, kid that got drafted by the Bucks last year in the draft, ended up getting traded before the trade deadline. A guy that was a very, I think, intriguing prospect. Had been playing overseas, good kind of smaller frame, but good size, very athletic. He popped last night, had a pretty good game. What do you think of some of these young guys on this Washington Wizards team?
Yeah, and that was without Keyshawn George and Bilal Coulibaly, who have both been really good. George is a rookie and Coulibaly, second-year guy. Yeah, their young talent is really, really solid. And they drafted 3 guys, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, and Keyshawn George in the first round this year. Then you get that bonus kind of first-rounder with A.J. Johnson, who was really kind of a toss-in, was the way he was viewed in the trade, where they swapped out Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton. So now, Middleton's shelved for the year, and you got A.J. Johnson's playing, and starting to look pretty good athlete. Alex Sarr, after a rough first parts of the season, has really been a lot better. Like, he's consistent. He can do a lot of things. They've had moments where they run the offense through him. Bub Carrington looks like, at the very least, he's going to be a really good third guard that can play in a three-guard rotation. I think he's probably going to be far more than that as a starting level guard, and he's got enough size where he can play on or off the ball. It all, but basically come down to, does he shoot it enough? Can he shoot it well enough to really make an impact? But they stink. Don't get me wrong, They're bad, but they've been really fun to watch, and they're one of the ones where people are like, oh, all these tanking teams, and they'll throw Washington in there, and I'm very quick to be like, well, wait a minute, they're not really. They were tanking, but from day one of the season, because they were like, we have a super young roster, and guess what? We're going to play all of them.
Yeah.
And they're all going to play, and they're going to play a lot. And if you're going to lose and lose a lot of games, if you're doing that when you're playing all these guys who are in their first couple of years in the league, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I just watching last night and then kind of going and looking, because I'll be honest, I mean, you mentioned it. A.J. Johnson's, just kind of a toss into that trade. I completely forgotten he was even on the Wizards. And last night I'm watching him, knock down threes, and I'm looking at his game logs, and it's like every other game he's got 15 or more points, and so getting that time when he was in the G League when he was with Milwaukee, so getting valuable NBA minutes. But yes, you're right, they are very bad. The other big news last night was the win for the Mavericks. AD with the clutch shot with about 3 seconds left in the game. Fun how that game ended. Clay knocks down a three to tie the game. AD gets a block on one end, then comes down the other end and puts in the game-winning shot. You look at this Mavericks team, very healthy very unhealthy a month ago. Ton of injuries. We know Kyrie's not going to be back, but this team is starting to get healthy. I mentioned AD is back. Some of those other guys, Derek Lively, some of those other guys that were out coming back. When you look at what a healthy Mavericks team will look like the rest of the way, if they can stay healthy, do you think, certainly play-in, could they maybe make it out of the play-in with this type of roster?
I struggle to see it because I just don't know how they're going to score enough. Anthony Davis is, he's incredible. He's played well since he's come back, but they just don't have enough ball handling and creation right now. Their best guard that's available night to night is Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's probably Brandon Williams, who's a two-way player who's out of two-way games or out of NBA games on his two-way contract, and maybe they convert him, maybe they don't. I mean, they're in a rough spot there in Dallas in the backcourt. Yeah, the front court's gotten healthier, but they were light on ball handling after they made their trade. And now with Kyrie Irving out, and he's certainly he's not coming back until probably well into next season off the torn ACL. They just don't have enough shot creation. So it's a great story. I think they're going to make the team work for it, certainly, because I trust them far more than the Kings or the Suns, who, quite frankly, neither one looks like they care all that much about making the play-in tournament the way they've been playing. So I think Dallas, will win that game, but whether it's in the next one it's Memphis or the Clippers or the Wolves or the Warriors or who knows, the Nuggets, the Lakers. I mean, all those teams could still be there. I don't think it's going to matter all that much. I think Dallas will make a little run, and then they're going to settle in and say, all right, hey, at least we've got a first-round pick in the lottery, and we'll go forward from there.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, as fun as the buzzer beater was from AD, it was kind of a struggle all night for them to really get anything going on the offensive end. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the weekend of action, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Enjoy the Final Four this weekend.
Right back at you. Thanks, Keith. Keith Smith joining us every week to talk the NBA and plenty of NBA draft prospects in the Final Four this weekend down in San Antonio. Going to be a ton of fun. We're going to get to a break here in a second. When we come back, we're going to talk about tonight's game for the Grizzlies against the Miami Heat. Before we do that, we're getting closer to the dinner hour, and when you're in Memphis, you know it's known for the barbecue, and you can get the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue any night at the Commissary. With locations in Germantown, Germantown and Collierville. Stop in for lunch, dinner, or get it to go. Start your meal with an appetizer like the cheese plate, chicken wings, or my favorite, the barbecue nachos. For more than 40 years, the commissary has been a staple in this area, and a huge part is because of the quality of food they serve. My go-to, it's got to be the ribs, but it's hard to resist the barbecue shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled and get it by the plate or by the pound. Comes in handy with the sandwich packs. Feed the whole group with a 6-pack, 8-pack, even a 12-pack. And don't forget about the dessert like the delicious banana pudding, brownie, or the lemon icebox pie. Check out the entire menu and catering options at commissarybbq.com. Whether it's a watch party for your favorite team, maybe a watch party this weekend for the college basketball action, maybe it's an office party, let the commissary cater your next event. Give them a call, 901-754-5540. That's 901-754-5540. Make any event perfect. But today, stop in at either location. In Germantown, open daily till 8 p.m. and in Collierville, open till 9 p.m. for the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue at the commissary. Let's get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk more about tonight's game, the Grizzlies versus the versus the Heat, Miami Heat, tonight on TNT. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
And dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and full shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4040 Parkland across from the URL. Get the best of Memphis or anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
Efficiency planting solution. The Case IH 2150 early riser planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 early riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH equipment headquarters.
Listen up, sports fans. Your next winning drive is at Landers Ford in Collierville. That's right. The iconic Landers Easy Pass always delivers more on your trade than their biggest discounts on your next winning drive. See it all at LandersFordRents.com. Plus, when you love Landers Ford, you get the support of a certified service tech that comes right to your driveway with the Landers Ford Service Experience Program. And pick it up or fix it on the spot. Landers Ford in Collierville. Ready to be a plan to find you the most savings possible. You can make a trade and possibly lower your payments. You can buy your current vehicle even if you didn't buy from them. It's a tradition of things all across the Mid-South line. New Fords and quality vehicle models are arriving every day. Either route, go see them today in Collierville or online at LandersFordMemphis.com. And built from the 1977 Ole Miss football team that beat #1 ranked Notre Dame. Ladies and gentlemen, the final play of the game comes from the president of Landers Ford in Collierville. I'm Jim Jennings. If it doesn't say Landers, you paid too much.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no-interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Home Dinners. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Home Dinners, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Home Dinners offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Afternoon, THP trying to wrap up this crash out here at the Fayette County, Shelby County line going westbound on I-40. It's had traffic a little bit slow out here on this side of town. Coming in from Fayette County on 40 westbound. Starting to load up a little bit more volume out of Midtown. We had that wreck earlier on 240 south past Norris. Then it started to ease up, and we're still dodging some pretty good thunderstorms out here. Give yourself plenty of extra time. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season that's coming up. Go see them right now at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Landon with you as we're live and local in our Family Leisure Studios. We got to talk more about the Grizzlies. They're back in action tonight against the Miami Heat. A 6:30 tip, more like 6:40 on TNT. A game that I've heard a lot of people ask, is this a must-win tonight against the Miami Heat? We talked about it earlier today, about how, the way that the Grizzlies play against teams under 500. We've talked about how they play against Eastern Conference teams. They usually have a lot of success against those type of teams. Well, Miami fits that bill. They're under 500. They're kind of one of the team, not one of the elite teams in the Eastern Conference. So you would feel like the Grizzlies would have a pretty good chance. We mentioned it with Keith that the last time these two teams met was March 15th. The Grizzlies won by 34 points on their home court. I think all of this would lead you to believe the Grizzlies have a really good chance to win this game tonight over the Miami Heat. But what if I told you that the Miami Heat are playing much better right now than they had been really all season. They're on a 6-game win streak. That includes a win last night over the Boston Celtics, a road win over the Boston Celtics. And one of the big issues for Miami this year has been the offense. This year, even with this 6-game winning streak, they're only averaging 109.8 points per game. But over this 6-game win streak, they're averaging 119.6 points per game. So nearly 10 points more over these last 6 games. And they have scored 120 points or more in 4 of those 6 games. Before that 6-game winning streak started on March 23rd, the Heat had only scored 120 points or more 4 times since the start of 2025. So they did it 4 times over the last 6 games. Prior to that, from January 1st, 2025 up until March 23rd, they had only done it 4 times. So this is a team that's certainly clicking. Tyler Hero is leading the way for them right now over this 6-game win streak. He's averaging 27.8 points per game while shooting 47.3% from 3. Bam Adebayo averaging 19.2 points per game, 3.8 assists per game, and 7.6 rebounds per game. And I'm really excited for the Zach Edey, Khalil Ware matchup tonight. Both guys taken in this year's NBA draft in the first round, 2 centers. And in the first meeting, Zach Edey finished with 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Khalil Ware finished with 19 points, 11 rebounds. So that feels like going to be a fun matchup tonight. And hopefully Zach Edey, the way he played in that second half against the Golden State Warriors, if he can keep playing like that, then good luck to Khalil Ware or really anybody guarding him tonight. I'm excited about the game tonight. I think the Grizzlies have a good chance. They're 5.5-point favorites on the books, but the way they've been playing, I don't think any of these games you could say, yeah, they're going to win tonight. Oh, you feel really good about them winning tonight, because they have not been winning.
Yeah, but I mean, to that as well, while they have not been winning, they've been playing great competition, and they're still, the offensive production is still there. They're still second in the league with points per game. They're still second in the league with rebounds per game. They're still playing good basketball. It's just the other team's playing better. And I think, to mention the point that you and Brett have continuing to make, is that we're just not playing defense. We're not getting back on the ball. We're letting a lot of shots go. We're allowing all of these people to score these big numbers on us. I mean, it's almost like one of those things of, for an example in my brain, is like when you go through and you lose a fantasy football matchup or something like that, and but you scored a lot of points and they beat you by 0.2, and then you look around the league and you're like, well, my score would have defeated every single other team that week. It's kind of what the Grizzlies are going through right now. But there was something that I noticed, because back when you and I were doing a lot of the shows together, when Brett took his very much needed time off, and we were talking about the Grizzlies and production was high and everything was going well, one thing was brought to my attention, and that was the bench production that the Grizzlies had. If you look over these past few games that the Grizzlies have had, the bench production has not been there the way that it has been in the games where it looked like we put together a complete game, where it looked like we were a team collabing together and going towards that goal of a big win and getting those kind of things. I mean, you look at the Warriors last night. Our only bench production was with Aldama and Pippen Jr. Aldama with 18, Pippen with 10. I mean, but that was it as far as players coming off the bench. With the Celtics, the only person who did anything from the bench was Aldama again with 21. And against the Lakers, Pippen was the only one to do something with 16. Against the Thunder, nobody from the bench did anything memorable. It's almost like the weight has been shifted all to the starters, which, I mean, they're starters for a reason. They should be playing at that high level. But what makes Grizzlies basketball different, at least what it did at the beginning and the middle of the season, was that whole thing of knowing those people are going to come off the bench and perform just as well as the starters were. And the last time that we saw that was the huge Jazz win. You had Huff, Edey, and Vince Williams Jr. all score 15 apiece coming from the bench. I mean, that was the last time we really saw great bench production. I mean, the game before that, we had the certified Grisaster with the Portland Trailblazers. And even with the Clippers, we only had Huff and Kennard with 15 and 13 points. And then with the Kings, that heartbreaker loss to them. But, I mean, let's be fair, they couldn't handle my boy Jonas Valanciunas over there.
That's exactly right.
Even though he came off the bench, but he still played well. The only person who came off the bench to do anything was Brandon Clark with 15 points. So I think, because we've talked about this before, is when the bench is firing on all cylinders and you have that complete team Grizzlies playing together, the team is unstoppable. And it looks like all of that has just shifted to, all right, the starters are going to be the one to do the job, and we don't really have any support. So you guys go out there and do everything.
Sure.
And it looks like that's where it's been falling apart. There hasn't been a lot of bench production.
Well, it's interesting because I've seen a lot of people talking about the interim coach, Tomas Isolo, and kind of the way he wants to run things. It's hard. When this move came, it was that Friday. They were going to be taking on the Lakers the next day, and then it was, a Monday, Tuesday of Celtics, and then Warriors the next night. So you didn't have a lot of time if you're Isolo to go in there and really change things or make your adjustments as a coach. And there are people pointing out that when he was over in Europe, that one of the things that he liked to do with his rosters is you're going to play guy 1 through 10, and they're all going to get somewhere between 13 and 28 minutes. You're not going to have anybody that's dominating with like 38 minutes, but you're not going to have guys that are getting 0 minutes. You keep everyone fresh, more of like a platoon system, and kind of swapping guys in and out and trying to go at opposing teams in more of waves than maybe just leaving your starters out there for a long period of time. And so we kind of saw him do that in the first game. I believe it was the first game against the Lakers, where there was not a single guy on the Grizzlies roster that had more than 30 minutes. I don't think any guy had 30 minutes. And then I think it was the game against the Warriors, only played 8 guys, and it was very heavy minutes on those starters. And so, it's a question of, well, what kind of style is he going to want to coach? Are we going to see everyone off the bench and needing production from everybody off the bench? Or are we going to see, hey, it's 8 guys, and with Brandon Clark out, it's got to be Santi Aldama who is on every night. It's got to be Scottie Pippen Jr. who you're relying on off the bench. And then you look at that game against the Warriors. Vince Williams was out with sickness, I believe. I think it was an illness that kept him out. John Conchar, who's been very sporadic of his minutes, he was out with something, I believe. So it really felt like Luke Kennard, Scottie Pippen Jr., and Santi Aldama maybe really your only 3 options to go to off the bench. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. Gigi Jackson, hasn't seen any time since returning from the G League, now that the G League season's over. So I don't know. I think he's still trying to figure out how he wants to use the rotations. But you're right. We started the season talking about how deep this team was. Man, you go to your 9th guy off the bench, and he's going to come in and have 15. When Jay Huff was out of nowhere, and you're like, man, this guy's awesome. And you're not seeing that anymore. That production really isn't the same that it was at the beginning of the season. So, it's a good question. The Heat have had a couple of guys come off the bench this year and give them some really good minutes. So, that could be a big story tonight is where are who wins with bench production? If you win the bench production category, maybe that's how you win tonight's game. I don't know.
I don't know either, but from what we've seen in the past of what's worked, it's been that. It's been just that. It's been the depth production coming in and knowing that those guys that are going to replace you on the court are going to play at that high level. But like you were saying, all of this just points back to the weirdness of the timing of why the coach changed now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're near the end of the season. Play it out. Let him go into the playoffs and then make your decisions there. It just doesn't make sense. And, I mean, we were talking about before. They were kind of on that downward spiral before the coaching change had been made, but it's just there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no real good. I would say there's maybe an explanation, but no real good explanation as to why now. And I agree when Brett asked you that question of like, what would you ask?
Mm-hmm.
Why now?
Yeah,
it's like,
why not?
Why?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It's very weird timing, but I do like what Keith said of, maybe you get to a point and you say it's not working, it's not gonna work, we're going the wrong direction, and you just say it's time to pull the plug, and maybe that points, I don't know, maybe it doesn't, but maybe that points even more to the idea of Isla is going to be the permanent head coach going into next season. Maybe you say instead of going into the off season and maybe guys aren't on the same page, frustrations there, and you don't know what you're doing, you fire your coach, now you're looking for a head coach. Maybe it's, hey, we've got 9 games left in the season, it's not going well right now, but hey, here's your new coach. Let's see what we can do as a group and kind of start building maybe that foundation. So instead of next year going into the season with a new head coach who it'd be his first time being an NBA head coach, hey, we're all starting from scratch. Yeah, sure, you'd have preseason and you'd have camp and everything, but first game of the season is first official game as head coach. It could take some time. Who knows what happens? Maybe it's now. Get him in there. Let him start, getting that connection with the guys. He's been on staff, but he hasn't been the head coach. So I don't know. I think a lot of questions still about this move, but, I think the most important thing is can they get a win tonight on the road against the Miami Heat? We'll see. Again, another TNT game tonight for the Grizzlies. 6:30 tip, so a little bit earlier than that regular 7 p.m. start that we're used to down in Miami. Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, or personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a home that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Sports and Mexican food. You can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $4.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest match ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put big seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family of berries, still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Matus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour from 3 to 6. $1 off all draft meals, $5 off meal drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and mozzarella sticks, queso, $4 a day. Friday night ice from 7 o'clock. Dine in and buy Joel Wednesday, 5 a.m. Free. I'll watch college football every pro game. All in the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland. Highway 70, fall is football.
Big Daddy. Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, Landon, I think since, you're stepping up to the plate today, I think you should go first.
All right. Well, as you know, with my history of big numbers, they're always interesting.
Hawaii related.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them are Hawaii related. But I do like including Hawaii as much as I possibly can, because I know there's just a whirlwind of Hawaii fans here. But to actually kind of stick with my theme of the day, it's baseball related.
Oh, okay.
There is a little bit of Mets in it, of course, but it's baseball related, because with how today has been going, it's kind of yucky, kind of rainy.
Yeah,
I wanted to focus on what are the big moments and best moments that we enjoy in sports, whether it be the Hail Mary in football, whether it be, we never talk soccer, but that goal that wins it, or whatever it is. And for the big thing for baseball, it's people hitting dingers. And so with me just hyping up how amazing Pete Alonso's tying runs were yesterday, it got me thinking. It's like, what was the longest recorded home run in MLB history? Do you have any idea what it would be?
Not a clue.
Well, it's 575 feet.
Okay.
That is, and this is probably the most American thing I can possibly say, but that equivalates to 191 yards, which if anybody's an American through and through, you automatically relate that to football fields. That is almost 2 football fields long.
That's crazy.
Of the distance of a home run, and that was set by none other than the legend that is Babe Ruth. Back in 1921, mind you.
That even really a year?
Yes, it was. It was a big year for baseball because it set the league record for longest home run ever.
I question the 100-point game in the NBA. I don't really question it. Sure, it happened, but I think it's funny. I think it's a funny conspiracy theory.
So what I'm hearing is, if you had a time machine, that's what you'd go back and do. You'd go and verify all those stuff. Well, I did promise Mets.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, I don't trust in 1921 we were getting our distances down to a T.
Okay, look,
you know?
you also, I remember this because you also had a problem when I brought up Notre Dame's first national championship win from 1925.
Yeah,
dude, look, sports were happening, man. They were booming, sweeping the nation.
Yeah,
Those things count
Hop on
too.
the train and get to the next stop.
You better
know?
believe it. We're not doing that now.
No.
So praise the Lord. But hey, sports were going
so.
off. But
so how's this Mets related?
So Mets related. Number 7 on the list belongs to none other than my man Darryl Strawberry, 1988, a little bit more modern. So maybe
no, that's a real year.
Real year. Everything else just didn't exactly happen. But that was 525 feet.
Wow.
Set by Darryl Strawberry, number 7.
Imagine sitting there and watching a 500 plus foot home run. That'd be crazy.
So the funny thing about Darryl's home run was it bounced off the top of the Olympic Stadium.
Oh wow!
So nobody even really saw it coming.
Wow.
And if you go back and watch the footage, even Darryl's a little bit confused as he's rounding the bases. He's like, is it gone? Am I running? Is this a home? Well, what's happening here? But they ran it back. They looked. They heard it bounce off something. So that was incredible. But do you know who the most recent longest home run belongs to?
The most recent longest home run. Let me guess. Shohei Ohtani.
No, it was not. It actually belongs to Nomar Mazara from the Texas Rangers back in 2019. He hit a 505-footer. Wow. And it was funny because I went back and I watched that home run as well. And so,
Just a tank.
Well, in the Ranger Stadium, you've got that bottom level in the outfield, and then you have the upper deck.
Yeah.
And so that ball hits in the upper deck. Nobody in the stands was ready for it. It just hits right in front of them. They're like, what was that? Is something like falling from the sky? Well, like, yeah, you're at a baseball game, so obviously
you didn't think you were in a section where you're going to get anything.
It hit. And usually people were like trying to dive after it or try to go get it. No one was prepared. They were just like, oh, well, just another day at the ballpark, I guess.
Look alive.
But yeah, most recent in 2019. So I believe it can be broken, and it might be broken.
Maybe.
But especially with these world famous torpedo bats.
That's right. Oh, the torpedo bats. You gotta love them. That's a good big number. My big number today. I actually have 2 big numbers, but they go hand in hand with each other. My big number is the numbers 7 and the number 8. That has to do with both the Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So last night, talked a little bit about it. We might get back to it at 5:30 during What's Trending. But the Braves, I mentioned it yesterday. When do you start hopping on the Braves of just, they got to win eventually. They're 0-7. I was hoping at some point the Dodgers series was going to be the time where just throw some money on it. They're super heavy underdogs. They got to win eventually. Throw some money on them and see if they can beat the Dodgers. Last night, up 5-0 in the second inning. You're going, oh, man, it's beautiful. It's going to hit. They're going to win tonight. I didn't actually bet on them to win last night. But in my head, when I saw they were up 5-0 in the second, I was like, missed opportunity right there. Well, the Dodgers come all the way back, tie it 5-5 in the ninth inning. Shohei Ohtani steps up, bottom of the ninth, 1 out. Hits a solo home run to walk it off. But now 2 teams going in completely opposite directions. The Braves, on one hand, 0-7 to start the season. On the other side, the Dodgers, 8-0 to start the season. Let's start with the 0-7. Last night, the Braves fell to 0-7. No team in MLB history has ever made the playoffs after starting 0-7. It's been 42 years since a team that started 0-7 finished with even a winning record.
Wow.
So not a good sign for the Braves, but I will say, best pitcher, Spencer Strider, isn't back from injury, and Ron Acuna is not back from injury. So if you get those guys back, maybe that, it certainly would change things. I don't know if it would, get you all the way to the playoffs, but I think it would help you get a winning record if you've got your best pitcher and certainly your best bat and best defender in the lineup. That would certainly help. On the other side, the Dodgers now 8-0 on the season, 5 games shy of tying the 1982 Braves, the 1987 Brewers, and the 2023 Rays for the best start in MLB history. Neither play today. The Dodgers will see tomorrow night against the Phillies on the road. 5-1 Phillies. We'll see if they can keep this win streak. Got a feeling that at some point over this 3-game series against the Phillies, they're going to drop at least one. But, hey, chasing history, 5 games shy. Play the Nationals after that. Nationals 1-5. They can get through these 3 games against the Phillies and win all 3 of them. Then we're actually talking. We're really talking then about maybe tying or even breaking the record. Well, we need to get to another break, wrap up this second hour, and when we return, we're talking a whole lot of Tigers. Greg Gaston, he joins us next.
Wonderfully easy. If your agent is Margie O'Neill of Remax Expert, Margie has over 20 years of experience in helping folks just like you find their new home. Buyers market, sellers market, up and down markets, Margie has sold them all with a dedication that makes it easy for you to buy your new home. Margie O'Neill at Remax.net. That's MARGIE.ONEAL at Remax.net. Or call 901-685-6000 for your new home. Margie O'Neill makes it easy.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure. Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still out here finishing up this wreck in Fayette County. It's 40 westbound right at the Fayette County-Shelby County line involving that FedEx truck. It's picked up with more volume on 240 getting on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Depending on where you are, we're still dodging some thunderstorms out here. Lots of storm damage over the last 12, 14 hours. Some of the traffic lights are still out with power outages and some on the blink. Hey, if your yard needs a little bit of help besides all this rain, call Lawn Solutions for a healthier, greener yard. And that telephone number for Lawn Solutions, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis, with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jeff Wiley, once again.
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand. You said you love me, and that's a fact.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Landon with you this afternoon. No Brett. Hopefully he's back tomorrow. If not, he'll be back on Monday. Just taking a day off to handle some stuff. But we got to talk Tigers. We do it every single week. A lot going on, obviously, with off-season for the Tiger basketball team. Also, spring football going on. But let's go ahead. Let's not waste any more time and get to Greg Gaston.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dacus, because I know it's your show,
Hi,
but
John.
I just wanted to say, do you know that Greg's daughter-in-law is the greatest dentist in the history of the world?
I know you're at the dentist today, so you were visiting her. A little free plug there for.
She saved my teeth.
I love that. You gotta love when you get your teeth saved. Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you're staying dry out there today.
I am a little wet earlier today, but been home for the most part. So, yeah, I hope everybody stays as safe as they can out there, not just dry, but as safe as they can. A lot of flooding in the area.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Well, plenty to talk about. Let's get into some of it. First thing I wanted to talk about was the news that came out. The athletic department put out earlier this week a couple things that will be taking place next year. I guess let's start with the sales tax. The athletic department, who has historically covered the sales tax for ticket pricing, they are now going to add that to both tickets and parking going forward. Obviously, this is a move towards revenue sharing, something that the university's been able to do in the past, covering that. Now they need all the money they've got for revenue sharing. What did you make of this news coming down that will affect all sports at the University of Memphis?
Well, first, I had no idea that they picked up that nearly 10% sales tax. I had no idea for both tickets and for parking. So that surprised me, number one. Number two, what they decided to do did not surprise me, even though they did not say anything about revenue sharing in the release to the media. What the thought is that they will use that to go towards revenue sharing, which is about to start up with college athletic departments all around the country. So where are you going to get that extra revenue? You're going to get it through the tax, which, again, was being picked up over the years by the university.
Yeah, I think a great move. Like you said, didn't outright say that's what it's going to, but you feel pretty confident that's where it's heading, and it makes a lot of sense. And they even added, or it was put out there, maybe it was reported that no additional fees. You're seeing a lot of places across the country add fees to tickets, and Tigers, at least right now, University of Memphis not going to do that, just adding that sales tax. The other thing they announced, they're limiting capacity for Tiger basketball games starting next season. They're going to put the drapes up. And in the north and south ends. That's a move. Obviously, you look around college basketball, there are very few teams that play in 18,000-seat arenas. Tigers are one of them. I thought a good move by Tigers, one that, I don't think has really any effects. And then, if you need all 18,000, or if you need more than what you have, I think, somewhere a little north of 14,000 following this change. If you need more than that, you've got them, and you can move those drapes and have the seating in both the north and south. What did you make of that change?
Yeah, you hit it on the head. They can certainly increase the capacity by just opening up those curtains or taking them down. So that's not a problem for whenever they play a huge opponent. It's a big-time game. And so, shades of that 1 versus 2 years ago against Tennessee when you could have probably got in, if you had more seats, even more than what they had, which was total capacity. And we haven't seen those days in a long, long time. But right now, taking away nearly 3,500 seats, let's just use that number, still gives them over 14,000 for capacity, and they just have not hit that number in quite some time, even on a consistent basis. Maybe some one-offs. So I think it makes sense. I just think it looks a little better. Look, people understand it's a big-time NBA arena. It's a cavernous arena, and not too many people are drawing those types of numbers around the country. There are a few. Tennessee certainly draws really well at Thompson Bowling, which is a big arena. But, yeah, I think it makes sense. I don't think it's a problem. And, again, if there is a situation where they have to add, they just pull the curtain down.
Yeah, and they also added, more affordable priced tickets in other places in the arena with this change, which I think is good, because I think we see a lot of times, a lot of people will get the cheap tickets up top, and then down low in some of those better seating areas, a lot of empty sections, and that certainly doesn't look good. And so I think with this move, making it a little more affordable in some of those areas, better environment, and also better when these games are on television.
Yeah, and I understand that there are people that have had seats in that terrace area where they're losing the seats. They've had those seats for years, and I'm sure those people are a little bit upset to lose those seats. But hopefully for them, they can find something equivalent, or if they want to actually spend a little bit more for a better seat, that's their option. I know they'll be a little bit disappointed, but there are enough seats to find seats. It's not like you're out of the seat now to go and support Tigers basketball if you plan on buying season tickets.
Sure. Looking at this roster, I know last week we talked about Jarrett Harris and Baraka Okoje. I believe that was before P.J. Carter and Dink Yates entered their names in the transfer portal. I'll be honest, when it comes to transfer portal, all these days run together. I cannot keep up with who's still in the portal, what day did they enter, are they really in or out? But when you look at Dink Yates, a guy that came from the JUCO ranks and got time here and there sporadically throughout the season. But then P.J. Carter, a guy that got an extra year of eligibility because being in JUCO, and a guy that was really key off the bench for the Tigers this season. What did you make of both those guys entering the portal?
Well, again, Yates was a walk-on originally. I don't think that's the kid played hard. It was not much of a loss. P.J. Carter, I think, was a solid rotation player. He had some clutch moments this year, hitting threes or making free throws. I was a little surprised about that one, that he jumped into the portal. But then again, I shouldn't be surprised because all these players are looking to see if there's better situations out there. Sure. So that's why these rosters are ever changing on an annual basis. But right now you're talking about, I believe, a week-long dead period in the portal for visits. I think it starts today or tomorrow. Memphis has had a few players in here recently. They'll have a few more players after that dead period is over, but it's been sort of a slow process right now as Memphis continues to see if they can keep P.J. Haggerty. That is their numero uno priority right now. Does it affect them going after other players? Not necessarily, but maybe at that guard position. Certainly wings, they need players. They need bigs as well. They're still trying to get the waiver with the NCAA for Danger. I'll keep my hopes up for that one. Memphis, first of all, has not had a great track record with the NCAA over history, and it's hard for me to see them grant that waiver. If it does, that's going to be a boon for this team. But right now, I would imagine it's tough because you want to offer kids. You don't know how much you can offer because you're waiting to see what Haggerty's going to do. So even though their name has been associated with a lot of players out there, it has still been a ton of them. It has still been a relatively slow process. But you're now seeing the names of guys from Wichita State and Temple and players within the conference that Penny has seen, Penny has evaluated. Those players certainly look at Memphis as a step up if they're staying in the conference. We saw what they did last year getting those type of players, which included a P.J. Haggerty. I would imagine that will continue, that Penny will grab a couple of these guys from within the conference, and that's something that will probably continue annually, going after some of those guys. Some other interesting names that are out there that Memphis has been at least associated with, but for right now, there's just been nothing to report. Very quiet on the Western Front as far as that's concerned. But these players are looking at taking visits to multiple schools. They want to see the lay of the land. They want to make sure that their options, if they take a quick visit and decision, then maybe they limit their options. They want to make sure they go out there and see what's available. So I think I understand why the process has been a little bit slow since the end of the season.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. I mean, you had a couple guys around this time last week take visits. I know Chris Bell from Syracuse was in town. Quante Berry from Temple was in town. And then you kind of had about a week off. And now today, I believe Tanner Toulson from Utah Valley is going to be on campus. I believe they're going to have a couple other guys on campus later this week into the weekend. So yeah, it's been kind of slow, but they've certainly cast a wide net. You know, I'm looking at my list that I've been trying to keep up with, and I've got around 40 guys that at least has been reported Memphis is interested in.
Oh, and Brian, there's over, I think the number early this morning when we were talking about it on our show on mornings is 1,700 plus, and that number has probably risen.
Oh yeah.
Since this morning, and let me make it clear that when I talked about this dead period, now I'm not sure if visits are already made and they can have those guys on, because you said you expect some this weekend, so maybe that's the case, or it's just a dead period where they cannot now jump into the portal until a week's over. But I was told by somebody in the know that there is a dead period coming up. So again, I don't know what that prevents. I don't know if it prevents actual signings, if that prevents just players from going and paying a visit to these schools, or it prevents players from jumping into the portal. But there's something coming up which is going to kind of ease it up for just a little bit, and then it'll get back to on fire.
The wild, wild west.
That's what it's been. Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly has been. You mentioned some of those guys in conference, and a couple guys that jump out at me. I know Corey Washington from Wichita State.
Yeah,
he entered the portal a couple days ago. That's a guy I would love to see Penny Hardaway, and I just saw a notification that said that Memphis has reached out to him, or at least have shown interest in him. So that's a guy I'd love to see at Memphis next year. But what about Quincy Ballard, the big center from Wichita State, a guy that I don't think a guy that's going to be at the NBA level, but a guy that at least when Memphis has seen Wichita State this season, last season, has had some really nice performances against them. What do you think of him? Maybe Memphis going after him and bringing him in to be a center next year.
Well, they're definitely looking at him. He's not a big scorer. He does well against Memphis for whatever reason. He likes that matchup. He's more, I think, a defensive-oriented guy. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I obviously saw a year in which they had two bigs, and you need 2 to 3 bigs. Losing Tyreek Smith really hurt last year, but with Musa and with Dane, you had a two-headed monster that would often play together, especially later in the year. So whether they acquire a guy like Ballard, they're still going to look at other guys while they wait for hope for the waiver for Danger. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Again, this is familiarity for Penny with these players. So that's 2 Wichita State guys with Washington that they're looking at, and with Ballard being the other one. So, yeah, I mean, I saw the news. I wasn't surprised at all.
No.
Nobody should be surprised about Washington. And then I'm not real familiar with the kid from Temple, although I think he averaged 10 a game, and I think that's pretty solid as far as an offensive player. I don't know where I could tell you how his handles are. I want to make sure that these guys, now I have nothing to do with it, but I want to make sure that they get some guys that are really strong ball handlers. We had too many instances for Memphis this year when we saw them turn the ball over by just dribbling into a double team or making an errant pass. I think Penny's got to make sure that the guys he brings in are really good. Guys on the perimeter are really good ball handlers.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, unfortunately, has been kind of a trend under Penny Hardaway. It's been a lot of turnovers year after year. You mentioned PJ Haggerty. Still no announcement yet from him on portal, draft, anything. Stay in. No announcement of any kind. He has been, at least on social media. I know the Memphis basketball team put out a video, a PJ Haggerty video. He reposted that. There was another post. I know Parth put it out on social media a couple days ago that he was in the facility at Memphis getting a workout in. Has your feelings changed at all? I mean, where do you think we're at with PJ Haggerty? I know he's still in the city. I heard your segment with Parth yesterday. Parth said he's going to the dentist, and PJ Haggerty's coming out. He's going in. So he is around. But where do you think we're at with PJ Haggerty?
Yeah, I know that dentist pretty well.
Yeah.
With Haggerty, look, it's tough for everybody to wait, but he's doing the right thing. He's looking at all his options, and we've had lively debate on my show with Eli about, what do you do if it's an offer where it's, let's say, $250,000 more or $500,000 more? Do you always go to the highest bidder? And he said, yes. And I said, well, not necessarily. Now, I said, if there's a difference between $1.25 million and, let's say, $3 million, okay, absolutely. But, there's a lot that plays into it. He was very happy with his time in Memphis last year, very comfortable with Penny Hardaway. And he's been made priority number one. I think he's priority number 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So he knows he's loved and he knows he's wanted. But again, that doesn't always seal the deal. The money is the number one. It is certainly number one. But again, if the difference is not as bad as it could be, and I don't want to say marginal because, heck, $10,000 to me would be a big difference. But you never know if they look at the situation and go, all right, well, there's a $200,000 difference. We could eat that and stay where we're very happy. And I'm talking about his inner circle and his father, who's a big part of this decision-making, his family. So I think he's doing all the right things. It's just you hate to have to sit there and wait because if he decides, 1, he's going to the NBA, he's going to stay in the NBA draft, or 2, he's going to some other school, then you're back to square one with nothing. Yeah. I mean, they have a couple of guys signed for next year, guys that I don't think are projected to be starters, and that is it. I mean, there's a good chance they keep Dante Harris. He'll be part of the backcourt rotation. But again, it is empty right now. So, yeah, you hate to have to sit and wait, but I completely understand Haggerty. I still feel good that they can get him, but I don't have any inside information telling me one way or the other. I'm just hoping that connection with Penny Hardaway will pay off for that school.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, outside of PJ Haggerty, guys that are currently considered on the roster, Dante Harris, is he a starter next year? Boone Akibe, I haven't seen anything on him, so I don't know where he would fit in. And then the 2 guys that you have committed for next year, Daniel Vieira-Tuck, that's a rotation piece, and Felipe Patino feels like another rotation piece coming off the bench for you. Take PJ Haggerty off that list, and it's a lot of rotation pieces. You add PJ Haggerty, night and day difference of kind of where you're starting, trying to go into the portal and get some guys. So yeah, very important to get PJ Haggerty and try to get him back for next season. But you're right, it feels like it's going to be a little bit of time, a little bit more of a waiting game until we get anything out of PJ Haggerty. Talking to Greg Gaston, he joins us every single week to talk Tigers. Make sure you tune in every morning from 7 to 10. Listen to him and Eli on Sports 56 mornings. Let's talk a little spring football. It's kind of Tigers almost doing the rare thing now in college football, actually playing a spring game this year. That spring game on April 26th. We've seen a lot of teams go away from that, but I know a lot of people excited about this spring game because there's a lot of questions about next year's team. The biggest one at the quarterback position, Brendan Lewis comes in. We know A.J. Hill brought in out of high school. What do you make of this quarterback battle? It sounded like going into spring practice, at least, that Brendan Lewis, the Nevada quarterback that has a lot of experience at the college level, at least according to Tim Cramsey, has the step up right now.
Yeah, experience at Colorado, at Nevada. I think it's fun that there's competition. Not that it wasn't fun to watch Seth Hennigan progress for his 4 years and the stability I'm sure that the coaching staff loved, especially Tim Cramsey. But yeah, this is an actual battle going on. But with Lewis certainly in the driver's seat, probably his job to lose. Antoine Hill, or AJ Hill, as he's known, who was on our show way back in the spring of last year when he said that he was going to commit to Memphis, and he followed through. From everything I've heard, I don't think this is a guy who is going to take his ball and go home if he doesn't win the job. I think it's almost expected, and that he'll learn and then be the heir apparent. But I don't know that for sure. You have another guy, Arrington Maiden, who's certainly got some ability. Harris Boyd is the fourth quarterback. And more than likely, when spring is done, there will be a quarterback or two and other players from other positions that will they'll leave the nest. It's going to happen. It happens every year now since the portal has become a big thing in college sports. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I think the veteran has the leg up. I'm looking forward to the game. It's not a big game per se, but they'll go at it a little bit. And, yes, it's becoming now rare that you have the spring game. A lot of teams have opted out of the spring game, and you're worried about a number of things, including injuries and players being found out from other teams and maybe them going after those players in the portal and trying to get those players to go into the portal. There's a lot of tampering that is going on. Until they set some rules and regulations down, it will continue to be like this. But I've only been over to the one practice. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to get over as much as I wanted to because of baseball duties. Yeah. But I'm hoping to get over there as soon as I can, probably next week. I don't have baseball to get over and watch them a little bit more. But I'm really impressed with some of the things, especially the offensive linemen, the depth of the O-linemen, how long their arms are and just their abilities. I know I've talked to David Deal a couple times now about that offensive line, and he's ecstatic about it. You're talking about a two-time Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants, so I got to take his word for it. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. We got Sutton Smith, who's not participating as he continues to rehab. He'll be ready to go for fall camp, and the other running backs are Greg DeWosier, who's back, and we saw what he did when he came back from injury last year and what he did in that bowl game. And there's Bodiford, who I think could be a Mario Anderson type, a little bit explosive, a little bit of power. And there's a whole new roster of receivers out there. So there's a lot of different areas in which it's going to be a lot of new faces, but they feel very confident in the team that they're going to put out there for 2025.
Yeah, certainly a talented group, and it's going to be fun out there at the spring game to see what we could expect to see in the fall. Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy this weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
You too, guys. Talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, Greg. Greg Gaston joining us every single week to talk Tiger football, Tiger basketball, all things Tigers. We do it every week with Greg Gaston. Make sure you tune in every single weekday, 7 to 10, and listen to him and Eli with Sports 56 mornings.
Hey, Greg cannot change a tire, but his daughter-in-law can sure save some teeth.
So it sounds like you're in trouble this afternoon with your teeth. I mean,
Oh no! I just had to go. You got to take care of business.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're referring to now. It was one specific time you had an emergency with your teeth, but not today.
And that's also why I have changed Greg's wife's flat tires 3 occasions.
Wow, that's kind of a low blow. I mean, we just get him off the phone. You're calling him out saying he can't change a tire. That's wild, but. You do you, John. I'm glad we're getting your input. We never hear Johnny Radio this late in the day. Glad he's piping in now in the last hour of the show. But love John. Well, before we get to a break, let me remind you about Jaguar Bluff City. They're the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. And their talented team, they're ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but head out there, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, we'll talk about what's trending.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback and hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000-square-foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member in both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Corky's barbecue. Cooking it up. Down home way. Hickory smoke flavor like a good old day.
Hey, y'all, Jimmy Stone over here with Corky's Barbecue. Catering is our specialty. Millions have trusted Corky's to cater their events for 40 years. Because we make it easy to eat and delicious for your guests. Whether it's 50 people or thousands, our experienced team comes to your location, sets up, serves, and ensures everyone enjoys Corky's all-you-can-eat barbecue buffet, starting at only $7.99 per person. You can't beat it. With 40 years of experience, it's easy to see why customers choose Corky's time and time again for all of their catering needs. Visit Corky'sBBQ.com to place for your next order.
Encore flavor. Corky's barbecue.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I pluck mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing. It's what we do. We're here for you.
Join us celebrating 26 years of Napa Cafe. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer, like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes, like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock.
For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. I'd sure love to see you.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon, THB trying to clean up this truck crash. It's been out here for about, 2.5 hours. FedEx truck crashed on 40 westbound, right when you come in from Fayette County at the Shelby County line. Again, still a little bit of a slowdown, but it's in the westbound lanes. This time of the afternoon, it gets heavy going eastbound out in that area. Still dodging a few rain showers out here. Some of the traffic lights are either still out or on the blink from all the storm damage. Please be careful. Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters. Go by and see them this bridal season. Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM. Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Roseway and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. As we got about 30 minutes left in today's show, we're brought to you each and every afternoon in this hour by Bluff City Jaguar. And we're live and local inside our Family Leisure Studios. We've talked a lot of things today. We haven't been able to talk any Major League Baseball. It was a good day of ball yesterday. We did talk earlier about the Braves. They still are winless. And the Dodgers, on the other hand, have not lost a game. That will be a fun series this weekend, Dodgers and Phillies. See if Dodgers can continue to do what they've been doing. A Thursday, not a whole lot on the schedule today. We do have a couple finals, though. The Boston Red Sox all over the Orioles, 8-4 in that one. Boston with 4 of those runs coming late, and so a good win for them.
Has Devers got a hit yet?
He did. He got one last night, I think. Either last night or earlier today. One of the two.
Well, there was a storm yesterday. I didn't pay attention to anything.
I saw somebody, well, I wasn't paying attention to it either, but I saw on Twitter somebody posted that Rafi finally got a hit. I think now it's just Dylan Cruz that is the only player that has had plate appearances in Major League Baseball that doesn't have a hit yet. Because yesterday it was like, I think when yesterday started, there was like 9 guys that hadn't gotten a hit. 2 of them were St. Louis Cardinals. Contreras hadn't gotten a hit, and Mason Wynn hadn't gotten a hit. Both of them got hits yesterday, as well as Rafi Devers. The other final today, the Phillies 3-1 over the Rockies. Astros and Twins, they're in action right now. Astros up 5-2 over the Twins. Only 2 games later tonight, so a very small slate on this Thursday. Travel day for most MLB teams, so you kind of expect that. I did see this earlier, and it does kind of blow my mind. We talked about the Atlanta Braves earlier today. 0-7 this season, have been really struggling, especially at the plate. But another team that's really struggling at the plate, Seattle Mariners, 3-4 this season, but they have a .172 batting average this year. I mean, they just cannot do anything at the plate. Luckily for them, their pitching staff is phenomenal. Starters, relievers, they've got the pitchers. So a little baseball update there for you this afternoon. I did want to talk during this segment about the trade we had in the NFL. There's a trade. The Dallas Cowboys have a new backup quarterback. So I ask you, Landon, should I be excited about the new backup quarterback for my beloved Dallas Cowboys?
I would say absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, ever since this trade has occurred, you look at social media and the people
Joe
are
Milton, by the way, for anybody that
yeah,
didn't
Joe
know who it
Milton.
was.
They're pulling up his NFL draft day highlight reel of where he's just casually dropping back and just launches it 60 yards, no problem. I mean, the dude's got a cannon.
Oh,
and
man.
in the one game that he played last year. In the one game that he played last year, the dude looked incredible. He was moving around. He was putting the ball where it needed to be. I mean, good enough for him to be in talks for trades all around the league. So the fact that he landed the spot where he's at, I think, is going to be good. I would be excited for him, but then again, y'all have Trey Lance, or y'all did have Trey Lance.
Not anymore. Trey Lance anymore. He signed for the CFL. How about that?
CFL Trey Lance? Wow. Well,
I'm
Trey
excited
Lance
about that.
was, I mean, he had huge expectations for him as well. I mean, he was a mobile quarterback going around doing his thing, but I don't know. I think Joe Milton's got, he's got something to prove. He's got that one game under his belt. He's an agile quarterback. He's got a lot of power. He knows his ball. So I would say if Dak starts looking south, y'all lost, unfortunately, Cooper Rush to the Baltimore Ravens, which was
I did like Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush was, man, he was y'all's bread and butter. He was the dude that if anybody went down, you could rely on Cooper Rush. But hopefully Joe Milton's the dude that fills those shoes and be's that good backup quarterback for you guys.
I hope so. Joe Milton is the definition of the player that looks great coming off the bus. I mean, you let him lead the way or just let him go out there on the field. He's that guy. You let him run out on the field and just throw those 80-yard bombs with ease. But then after that, it maybe gets a little more nervous. You're right. He did have that great game for the Patriots last season. So if you build on that, I think the hope is that you don't need him. You don't need to see him. Dak Prescott back to healthy, and it feels like preseason Dak is the Dak where everyone's like, oh man, this is gonna be his year. He's gonna be in MVP conversations. He's gonna be fantastic. He's gonna lead the Cowboys to the playoffs, and then something always pops up. Whether it's injuries or who knows what. But Joe Milton, we'll see. If you need him, I guess there are worse backup quarterbacks to turn to in the NFL.
Oh, I'm a Titan.
Well,
I know.
yeah.
I know very well how bad it is to have some backup quarterbacks that don't do anything.
It's not great. Speaking of quarterbacks, earlier today, Geno Smith reached an agreement on a 2-year, $75 million extension. He's now down in Vegas with the Raiders, reuniting with his old head coach, which I think, when that move was made, I thought a good move for both sides. Up in Seattle, you had an entirely new coaching staff. They were trying to do a new thing with that system. You went out, traded a couple of those receivers, let go a couple of those receivers, and then made the trade to send Geno Smith to the Raiders. We talked a little bit earlier, Trey McBride, the tight end for the Arizona Cardinals, he got an extension earlier this afternoon, was announced a couple hours ago. The highest paid tight end in NFL history with a 4-year, $76 million extension with the Arizona Cardinals. The deal includes $43 million guaranteed and a $19 million average per year with the Cardinals. How about this? Highest paid tight ends in per year average. Trey McBride now setting the table with $19 million per year. You want to take a guess at who number 2 is?
Evan Ingram?
Incorrect.
Come
on,
I'm still guessing.
Think famous tight end, has an insanely famous girlfriend. Travis Kelce.
George Kittle.
George Kittle is 4th.
Josh Wiley.
Josh Wiley's not on. TJ Hawkinson is on the list. How about that?
I was just naming tight ends at this
ends.
point. Delaney Walker. He came out of retirement.
Also not on the list. So Trey McBride, Trey McBride, $19 million per year. Travis Kelce, $17.1 million per year. Hawkinson, $16.5 million per year. George Kittle, $15. Dallas Goedert, $14.25, and then Mark Andrews, $14 million per year. I love this deal for the Cardinals and for Trey McBride. I mean, that was a guy last year that I mean, every single time you turned on an Arizona Cardinals game, he flashed and he popped, and you were going, man,
playmaker.
That is the future at the tight end position. And so, I don't know, what do you think of this core that Arizona has? I mean, is this something that you can build off of and maybe actually get something going? Because it feels like we've been waiting. Kyler Murray, it's been some injuries, it's been stuff there. If you can have a healthy Kyler Murray, now you have your tight end locked in for the future. You've got some pieces defensively. You've got a young receiver in Marvin Harrison. I mean, could this be a team that is competing?
Competing for
competing
for sure.
Like top end
Well,
competing.
I'll also say this: the head coach sorry about that, John. The head coach for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
When he first came in, I'm sure everybody and their mom saw the video of his pre-conference hype up speech of who took the bus, who drove over here, and the caption was, "This dude couldn't motivate me to make a sandwich."
I hate to interrupt you.
Go for it.
I think NFL coaches need to just stop with when they get hired. I mean, what was it? The guy down in Jacksonville this year where he tried Duval.
Oh, yeah.
Duval. We got to stop with the trying to play up on your when you first get the job, the introductory press conferences, and just go out there, do your press conference, and let's get going. But,
Jonathan,
I know what you mean, though.
Jonathan Gannon. I mean,
Gannon had a couple of videos where it was
he did well, and he had that new player come in. He was a fighting. You're fast. Look, with that being his introduction and what he's done with the team since, I give props to the guy.
He's been a good coach.
He has been a great coach.
He's done a nice job.
First impressions were not there at all.
No.
I think everybody thought, what is he doing as a head coach? What's going on? I don't believe this guy, but he has done a great job with the Cardinals. So now you've got a healthy Kyler Murray. You've got the extension with Trey McBride, like you said, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, you've got all these pieces. I would say wild card would be a great expectation to set for the Arizona Cardinals this year. I would say definitely a winning season. It would be expected.
And that's what I was about to point out is, so last year 8-9 on the year and finished third in the NFC West. Seattle finished in front of you, and the Rams finished in front of you, both 10-7 on the year. I definitely think if everyone stays healthy, I think Arizona can certainly be
a 9-win
over
team
500.
for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, Seattle's making a bunch of changes. What do they look like next year? I think the Rams will still be good next year, but I think they can be competing at the top of that division.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's a great point with Seattle making all of these moves. I mean, you just with the addition of Cooper Kupp, and you've still got Matt Stafford over with the Rams. But then again, you lost your big target.
Yeah.
But Puka Nacua has been stepping up to the plate. Great receiver. I've loved him since he stepped foot in the NFL. Loved him at BYU as well. The dude is an absolute player. So a very competitive conference over there. So I think it's gonna be a lot of top dogs coming out of that conference. So I would say expectations realistic to set for the Arizona Cardinals this year is a 9-win season, a really good, successful season. Let's put them in the wild card.
I don't think I realized this last year during the season. Maybe I did, and I've just forgotten about it since. The Seahawks last year were 7-1 in away games. That's crazy. 3-6 at home. It's supposed to have the 12th man there. I mean, that's supposed to thrive at home, but it was the road where they had all their success. That's crazy. 7-1. On the season on the road. But no, a lot of NFL news coming out, extensions all over the place. As we're getting closer, more and more draft news coming out. I mean, right now they're doing over-under on ESPN, Shedeur Sanders' draft position, over-under 8.5. What was that, John? You want to step up to the mic? I don't know what the over?
Yeah, right now, let me just tell you something. The fact that it's gone to 8.5 means
That's
you better
crazy.
go under because everybody's always trying to trick you right now.
Yeah, 8.5. That's a weird number to place it at. I would have thought it was like
The
4.
Browns don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
The Raiders don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
The Giants don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
The Jets don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, and then someone's going to trade up and get a quarterback.
Neither
if they
do the
need
Titans.
It. Titans don't have a quarterback. Well, we know they're getting Cam Ward, so you got to get a Cam Ward jersey.
But no, it's okay. We signed Brandon Allen. Everybody knows about him.
Love
And
Brandon
Tim
Allen.
Boyle. He's going to save the entire city.
Tim Boyle, I mean.
How does he have a job? Anyway, I digress.
Tim Boyle, I mean, a veteran backup quarterback.
Can you
in
really
the
call
NFL.
him a veteran?
Yes.
What has this
veteran
dude
backup
done?
Quarterback, you know. I mean,
No,
he's-
that's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, yes, but you know,
Greatest backup quarterback to ever
that
play
is
the
true.
game.
That is true.
Good
but
beard.
He also has a
Great
good beard,
beard.
just like you, John. You got a good beard, John.
John does have a
He
great
does have a
beard.
good beard. Well, let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Buster's is opening a new location at Poplar and I-240, your one-stop shop for wine and spirits. Family owned and operated for 70 years, Buster's offers the best service and wine knowledge in the area. Stop by and check out our selection of wine, spirits, beer, and more. Buster's is the supermarket of wine and spirits. Visit us online at bustersliquors.com. Buster's, we love your spirit. Come see us at the new location at I-240 and Poplar.
Sports and Mexican food. You can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the TVs on all the walls in Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with reservations from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $4.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
It's time for the ultimate Hot Wing Showdown at the World Championship Hot Wing Contest and Festival. Saturday, April 26th at the Memphis River Garden Park on Riverside Drive. See over 60 teams fighting for hot wing supremacy along with live blues, soul, and rock and roll. All in support of the Ronald McDonald House. It's a sizzling day of fiery flavors, live music, and family fun, and you're invited. Get your tickets now at worldwingfest.com. Sponsored by RS Financial Group, Bank 3, ATC Fitness, and Universal Access. This is your delicious chance to make a difference.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is Crunch Time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Landon, what I learned today is that the Grizzlies really need a win, and it could come tonight on national television, TNT, against the Miami Heat. I think that'd be fun if they can get a win and have it on national television. I think we'll all feel good tomorrow. How do they play? How do they look against this Miami Heat team? Again, this is not the same Miami Heat team that we saw back in March. On March 15th, they were in the middle of a 10-game losing streak when the Grizzlies drilled them, beat them by 25 points, 34 points here in Memphis on March 15th. They're playing a lot better now. 6 wins in a row. Last night on the road against Boston, picked up a big win. Offense is playing a lot better. Right now, over the 6-game win streak, averaging nearly 120 points per game, 119.6 points per game. Offensively playing really well. It's led by Tyler Hero. Now, here's the question. You Grizzlies are a favorite right now on the road. So here's the question. They had the day off yesterday. The Grizzlies had the day off yesterday. And now Miami had to be up in Boston yesterday. And after that game last night, fly all the way back to Miami and then get ready for a game tonight. Maybe there's a little something to that. Maybe they're a little fatigued and come out slow tonight. But whatever happens, Grizzlies got to have a win tonight.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. What I learned today, we kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier when we were trying to get on with Steve Macy. It seems like the Titans are closing in on their number 1 pick of the draft with it being Cam Ward. Now, where I stand with this is I'm not taking anything away from the fact that Cam Ward is a great quarterback. He's a great athlete. He knows how to make the plays. Wherever he went, he balled out and he proved himself. He made a name for himself wherever he went. Do I think that he's the answer that Tennessee is looking for? No, I don't think that he's going to be the guy that is the problem solver. I don't think he's the guy that you put all your eggs in his basket and say, you're going to carry this franchise now and you're going to be our franchise QB. I think if I'm a Titans manager or whatever it may be, I'm looking to who can make the most impact right now. Who can make a difference, who can help the team the most, and I think that answer is Abdul Carter. You put Abdul Carter on an edge with Tavondre Sweat in the middle and Jeffrey Simmons on the other side, you have a baller defensive line right there. We've made a lot of offseason moves already with, stacking up our linebacker class, getting depth there. Our cornerbacks are set with Roger McCreary, L'Jarius Sneed. We've got safety help. That would, I think, complete the problem on the defensive side of the ball. And I think what you do is you just suck it up. You wait till next year because next year's QB draft class is incredible. You've got names like Arch Manning. You've got names like Nico Iamaleava. You've got Drew Allar, Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, you even go down, you look at Carson Beck. You have so many more reliable options going into next year of guys who are those top dogs. And you make a few more offseason moves, something like that, to really build this offense. I mean, we've done the work in getting an offensive line that is kind of like a test out year. A lot of one-year deals with a lot of offensive linemen. Some good, some still need, room for improvement, room to prove themselves. But still, I think if you're looking for an impact guy, you go Abdul Carter. But with everything the way it's pointing, it's looking like Cam Ward's going to be the pick for this year.
Yeah, it's definitely moving in that direction. What I could have done without is just everything around this Ja Morant and the finger guns. I just, I wish this was something, especially now that it has ended with just warnings. Why could this not have been something that behind the scenes, Adam Silver or somebody with the NBA reviews it, looks at it, and then goes to Ja Morant, goes to the Grizzlies, says, hey, look, we can't have this. We need to not be doing that on the court, especially for Ja Morant. Now, I will say this. The reason it got put out there is because, and this is no offense to Shams Charania, he's the one that reported it. It's his job to report things like this. But if you're Shams Charania, if you're a reporter, if you catch wind of, hey, the NBA is investigating Ja Morant for doing finger guns during a game, oh, that's going to get people talking. That's going to be front page headlines. I mean, you know that is going to get people talking because that has been the conversation with John Morant. We know that history, that gun-related history he has. So Shams Charania reporting it, but I just wish this could have been something behind the scenes. We just, hey, everybody come together, look, we're going to give you a warning, Ja. We just can't have this. If this continues to happen, then maybe we got to talk about fine. If this was a fine, I'm completely fine with it being reported. And I'm fine with it being reported to begin with because I understand that's how it goes. But just wish this would have, been maybe something behind the scenes. Just let them know, hey, let's not do that. Instead of making it what now? I mean, you go online and last night into this morning, that was front page headline of everything NBA related was NBA investigating Ja Morant for finger guns.
Yeah, I could have done without the exact same thing as Ja Morant, and like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, what this childish report of finger guns sounds
Finger
like.
guns.
I mean,
Pew, pew.
it's ridiculous. I mean, so much so. I mean, you guys know me. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I was here live when The Rock came in town last year for Friday Night SmackDown, and The Rock was singing his little Memphis blues song and getting the crowd all hyped. And this guy's supposed to be a bad guy, so he was taking a few pokes at Memphis, and he took a poke at Ja when Ja was pulling out his gun, and the whole crowd just goes, oh! So, I mean, this has been front news, and I think, like you said, in the back of his head, Ja should have known this has been a big problem.
Yeah.
This is something that's been reoccurring. We need to do better. I mean, you're a professional in the NBA. You got to act like it.
For sure. Where are you beaming?
Beam me straight to the Miami.
Yeah.
Beam me straight there. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Miami,
Of course.
right? Especially with all the weather we've got going on here. But got to see these Grizzlies in action. Let's see if they can put together a really nice team game and hopefully, really, really hopefully come away with a big win.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game tonight for sure for the Grizzlies. Beam me, I actually didn't know this was going on. I just saw it on ESPN. Did you know that, first off, did you know that there was a college basketball three-point contest and dunk contest?
Did not until now.
Did you know it was tonight?
No.
Did you know it's going to be on ESPN?
Tell me more.
That's all I got.
Oh, okay.
That's all I got. Tonight on ESPN, if that's something you enjoy, three-point shooting contest, dunk contest,
all right.
I guess that's there. What I'm really beaming to is this matchup tonight between the Warriors and the Lakers. 9 p.m. on TNT will be directly after the Grizzlies-Miami Heat game. Hopefully, we just gotten done watching a Grizzlies win over the Miami Heat, but you look at these two teams, both teams moving in the right direction. We just saw this Warriors team the other night against the Grizzlies, but right now, Golden State Warriors 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Los Angeles Lakers 6-4 in their last 10 games. Lakers 2 wins in a row. Golden State 3 wins in a row. Two teams moving in the right direction. We know the star power is there. Luka, LeBron, Steph, Draymond. It's going to be a fun game late tonight on TNT. But that's all the time we have. Really good slate of games with a lot of NBA. The NIT championship game, if that's something you're into, is later tonight. Not a whole lot of baseball, but a really good night with the Grizzlies in action on TNT. Enjoy your night, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just